Welcome, everyone. Hopefully everything's working. Um, didn't have as much time to set up today's stream as I would have liked, but I am here. It's been a long day. Let's just say that. Um, my children were not in the greatest of moods. My fiance is not in the greatest of moods. I'm not in the greatest of moods, but we'll see if we could turn that around tonight. We got our water here. We got some Malibu strawberries. We got some Miller Lite, some vodka, some other things. We're gonna have or attempt to have some fun tonight. So for those who don't know, for every donation or super chat, I will do some form of shot. Obviously, the more money given, the bigger the shot is, of booze. Beyond all of that, my streams obviously are meant for an older audience, so please drink responsibly. There might be some cussing, there could be some other crazy things. I just like to put out that warning at the beginning before people are like, what the hell? What is he doing dropping F-bombs? Why is he sitting there doing shots? This is just what I like to do. It's something that I enjoy doing, and it's one of my favorite times of the year. Now, we have a few things that happen when we live stream. One of those is that if we hit our member goal, we do a giveaway during the stream. Now, our member goal has actually dropped quite a bit. We're down to 145 members out of 200. I don't have a way to display it because for those who don't know, we stopped using Streamlabs. So now we are using OBS Studio, some plugins. That's why things are just kind of jumbled all over here right now. I'm going to have to actually make a proper stream layout to make this look a lot better. But for right now, everything's just kind of tossed over here. And Stream Elements, which is sort of a Streamlabs alternative, doesn't have a way for me to set a goal for members. So I'm going to have to sort out something for that because I really don't want to pull in anything from Streamlabs anymore, including their member goal, even though it does work. It doesn't matter. I have a very hard time mentally trying to support a company who has been actively stealing from essentially everyone else in the industry, regardless of if that stealing was legal or not. Yeah, it's been pretty blatant and pretty bad, and the roof has been blown off. Streamlabs is not a ethical company, at least, and I have a very hard time trying to use any of their products anymore. In fact, I still have Streamlabs OBS installed on my computer, and yeah, that's not going to last much longer either. Every now and then I go back to it to see what am I missing from my streams. Now, we do have some additions to our stream, including the Stream Boss up here. Stream Boss is where there's 1,000 HP, and it gets attacked by subscribers or donations, super chats, etc. And then whoever does the killing blow becomes the new boss. So it's just kind of a little fun thing. We've had it before. It's back again. We have our list of like latest events that have happened on the channel, from subscribers to donations to whatever. Although it doesn't look like it's showing members. And then we have a little merch advertisement over here. Socials down here. So we're trying our best to make this stream as good as we can. We did have a couple members re-up, including Amor12321, who re-up for his 6 months in the war, and he goes, "Cheer the hell up!" I know. It's been a rough day. Then we have, sure, I guess I really don't care what shows in the background right now. We had Venata712 re-up for 6 months as well. It says, "Look on the bright side, Nintendo acknowledged the existence of CDI games this week." I mean, they've never denied the existence of the CDI games. So, like, when Hyrule Historia came out, Eiji Anomo even mentioned, like, in some interviews why the CDI games weren't part of it, and it's because Nintendo basically doesn't consider them part of the Zelda franchise, even though they were officially licensed games. They're kind of like a black sheep for them. So it's not like Nintendo isn't aware and doesn't acknowledge that CDI games exist. They just kind of wish they didn't. That being said, why don't we shout out everyone who's here in the chat and go from there. So let's see here. Moonkey537, how's it going, man? We got Loki Ravenstorm, one of our members. Logan LeBlanc is one of our members of the board of directors as well. By the way, if you want to become a member of the board of directors, all you have to do is hit join. And by the way, if you want to have a little fun in the chat, if you do !8ball just like this, you can ask yes or no questions. So 8ball, are we going to have fun tonight? Let's see what the 8ball has to say. Waiting for the 8ball one to pop up. Waiting for the 8ball to pop up. Come on, 8ball. It'll take a bit since Streamlabs just threw out a member ad. Actually, that looks like the 8ball. The 8ball says mayhaps. What about for me? What about for me, Stream Elements? Are you gonna tell me? Stream Elements is gonna ignore me, isn't it? Stream Elements is going to ignore me, isn't it? Dang it! I'm waiting for that. Dude, the 8-Ball could say some crazy things. Yeah, look, it ignored me. The 8-Ball says, you know what? Let's just have a shot together and think about this for a while longer. Oh, snap! Let's just have a shot together and think about it for a while more. Hell yeah, 8-Ball. How's it going? Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. All right. I guess it can ignore me. I'd rather pay attention to you guys. All right. We have Cindy Estes here, who's one of our members of the board of directors. We have Timothy Barry, who's another member of the board of directors. We have the Phantom Boy 90. Iron is here. The Elemento Hero, the Shadow Link, Dragon Wolf King is here. Don Lewis is here. Let's see here. Crazes Koth, one of the members of the board of directors, is here. We got X Misk Star X3 is here. Dave G-Deuce is here. I saw the super chat. I'll get to it here in a moment. Oh, I gotta see where that pops up, by the way. Hold on. I don't know where the alerts are popping up. Come on, alert. Pop up on the screen, please. Where are you, alerts? I have no idea where the alerts pop up. Alerts! Are you not working? Oh, that's gonna suck if alerts aren't working. I literally have no idea where alerts pop up. Well, if somebody sees it, let me know. The alerts should be working. If they're not, that sucks. They should be working. All right. Let's see here. The Phantom Boy 90, we got Sinful is here. Seahawks 24 Rule, one of our mods and members of the board of directors, is here. Iron is here. Kirby Geek 4 is here. Let's see here. Scrolling down the list here, we're getting caught up. Dark Dragon 19 is here. Stream Elements bot is here. How's it going, man? Timmy Jr. is here, one of the members of the board of directors. How's it going? The Male 518 is here. Zelda Link 5 is here. Jameister Bro is here. Santiago Salas is here. Alexis Aho, one of the members of the board of directors, is here. Retro Bear, another member of the board of directors, is here. I'm scrolling on down. We got Joe's HMO is here, another member of the board of directors. Jeff Rule as well, another member, but not the 712, yet another member of the board. Let's see here. Sylvester Favela is here. Bowsette is here. Better Electrically is here. How's it going? Another member of the board of directors. Joycey J is here. Retro Bear, another member of the board of directors. We got Coaster Craft Productions is here. Amore 12321 _ another member of the board of directors. Timothy is here. Let me see here. Scrolling up, Panda Production Studio is here. Tyler Wrights is here. Major Ryzen is here. Mr. Zatina is here. Shiny Ray 01, how's it going? And Tony 0096. I think we caught up. Let me know. But I think we caught up. Let me get some water up in here. I got a little dry mouth happening tonight, which isn't good, but also whatever. Nestle, you're alive. Not too bad. All right. Let's get to that super chat quick. We had Amore 12321 _ said the 8-Ball said so. Woo! The 8-Ball said so, apparently. Well, you know what? Let's crack-a-lacka here and get our first shot of the night out the door. I think we're going to start with the beer. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save the beer for anything under $5. They'll say it will be beer. So we got some fresh Miller Lite that I can put the cap back on, so maybe I don't waste as much. So let's just have some wine here for the $5 ones. $10, we'll say $10 is for a shot of Malibu. 20 for a shot of vodka. 25 for our heavily fermented Cannon Blast. This stuff is probably the highest grade here because of how fermented it is. It's crazy. And then from there, it just gets, the $100 for the tequila that really messes me up. And that I really don't enjoy. And if I do a lot in a row, well, it might come back up. But Haven't had that happen in a long time because I haven't had to do like 3 in a row in a long time. So knock on wood that I don't have to do 3 in a row tonight. By the way, I do drink responsibly when I get to a certain level. If I get to a certain level, which is pretty rare because I can handle quite a bit of liquor. Yeah, if I get to my limits, I do stop for a while. It's one of those things where being safe is more important than finishing off shots and all that. That being said, how's it going, guys? We have a story to talk about today because we have an eShop game that's $250. An eShop game that's $250. Now, I don't have this set up correctly to show you guys, so it's just going to be the podcast layout for this. But whatever, it gets the job done. We had another $10 super chat pop up. Hey, DJ! All right, thank you so much for that, Mr. Venata712. Says, well, since you insist, 8-ball. All right, let me, I want it's a brand new bottle. Crack-a-lacka, come on, Nate. There we go. There we go. Brand new bottle has been cracked. We got some strawberry Malibu today. I haven't done Malibu in a long time. I don't know why I decided to pick up Malibu today. It just kind of was sitting there staring at me. By the way, we had a couple members join, brand new members, to get us to 147 out of 200. We had Sylvester Pavala. Welcome. You were the latest member of the board of directors of Nintendo Prime until Mr. Santiago Salas. Welcome. You are the latest member of the board of directors of Nintendo Prime. You guys are now champions on our board. Welcome to the team. Only 53 more to go, which sounds like a lot, I know, to our next big giveaway prize on stream. All right. The 8-ball has confirmed Zelda at the Game Awards. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. People are going to have a lot of fun with that 8-ball thing. It's a good time. It is a good time. I don't even know what all the responses are, so. All right. Let's look at this $250 game, right? Let me get the Shadow out of the way. Then we'll get to the $250 eShop game. What? Now, I'm not even sure who to be mad at about this, but let's take a look at it quick. Again, I don't have anything set up my normal streams, but I do have a podcast layout here. So, whatever. I think the podcast layout's working. We'll find out in a second. I don't have the stream up on my computer right now to look at it. I'm waiting for it to turn on live. There it is. Yeah, so it's working. It just, you see over here, and there's no Eric. All right. So here, random. This $10 Nintendo Switch eShop game has suddenly shot up to a whopping $250. So yeah, this is insane to me. So again, I know I need to get a stream layout set up for just me and not a podcast thing. But yeah, Membrane. With all the Black Friday sales going on at the moment, our eyes have become well-drilled in spotting great deals and discounts both at retail and Switch eShop. But we didn't expect to stumble across this. Membrane, an excellent physics-based puzzle platformer that launched on the eShop back in 2018, has gone in the complete opposite direction. Usually available for the very reasonable price of $9.99, the game is currently sitting in the eShop at a staggering $250. Seriously, here's a quick screenshot of how it currently appears on the Nintendo site. In fact, let's load up that Nintendo site. It's still $250. Holy crap. Holy crap. So yeah, we're assuming and hoping this is just a bizarre pricing error. So I think I know what this is. I think I know what's happening here with this $250 game. So the Nintendo Switch eShop, everyone is trying to get noticed on the Nintendo Switch eShop. And what a lot of people are doing to get noticed are discounts, right? So they're discounting their games to a penny. They're discounting it to $1. And they do this for like 24 hours to shoot their game to the top of the sales charts. And then once it gets ranked in the top 10 for sales, they'll set it back to its normal price. People who check those top charts to see what people are buying now will see, oh man, this indie game's up there. It must be really good. And then they go buy it. It's a way of gaming Nintendo Switch's system, and that gaming is only happening because it's extremely difficult to actually get discovered on the Nintendo Switch eShop. If you're not a featured game by Nintendo, good luck at actually getting noticed on the Nintendo Switch eShop. So why is Membrane then going to $250? That's not going to make them appear anywhere in the eShop. Well, one, it gets some news coverage on this channel, Nintendo Life, other YouTube channels, other websites have talked about this. So it does get them noticed. Membrane is actually a good game. It's not, one of those trash indie games, that should only be like 99 cents, and even then might be too much. No, Membrane's actually, if you go look up reviews of Membrane, it's actually a really, really good game. So we're not talking about some bad game. Here's what I think is happening and why the company behind this has increased it to $250. So sometimes on Switch, sale prices are shown based on what the game costs versus what the discount is. And I'm willing to bet next week Membrane is going to go on sale during Black Friday, back down to its original price of $9.99. However, it's going to be on sale. It's going to show on the eShop as $240 off, even though it's really just at its original price. And when it shows $240 off, it's going to, how much is that? How big a sale is that? Hold on, let me get the old calculator out here. It's going to show like an insane sale price. So if we go $9.99 and we divide that by 250 here. Oh, whoa. Calculator, get back here. Yeah, it's gonna show what? That's not right. That's not how I do that. Whoops. That was incorrect. My bad. All right, so it's gonna show a really insane discount, essentially. It's gonna show like 80, 90% off. It's gonna be awesome. Well, not 80, more like 60, 70% off. It's gonna look like a huge discount, and it's gonna look like a lot of money off. And what's gonna happen is when it pops up to the top of the latest sales, when you go to the sales list where it shows the games that just got on sale, and it pops to the top, people are going to look at it and go, wait a second, this game is now $9.99, but it used to be $250. What the hell? And people are going to buy it out of curiosity. That's what I think this company's doing. It's a new method to try to get noticed on the eShop. You get the free advertising at the $250 price, and then when they do the insane discount for Black Friday, it's going to end up looking like a crazy deal, and people are going to buy it wondering what the hell is going on, especially when they look up the game, and it turns out that it's actually reviewing really well. So even if they do basic grab your phone and Google it, they're going to see that it's actually a good game. So then they might be even more willing to spend that $9.99. So to me, this is just another ploy to get the game noticed. Now, all this does to me is highlight issues with the eShop, which, by the way, I don't think Nintendo needs to curate pricing. I don't think it's on Nintendo to tell them they can't raise the price of $250 and they can't heavily discount the game. I think that pricing should always be set by the people who are making the game, not Nintendo. So some people talk about how, well, Nintendo should have like a maximum pricing tier of like $99 or so. Like, no. Nintendo shouldn't have anything to do with how third-party and indie studios price their games. However, what Nintendo should do to discourage this kind of behavior and to discourage the insane penny sales to try to get noticed is actually provide a useful eShop system that would discourage doing things like this because games are easily discoverable. Right now, it's almost impossible to discover any game that isn't in the top 10 in sales and or isn't promoted by Nintendo themselves. Without that, it is almost impossible to get noticed on the Switch eShop. Every time I go to the Switch eShop, I have no idea what's good. There's no user ratings. I have no idea what's bad. So there's no user, even Netflix has user ratings. There's no user ratings. There's no organization methodology. Sure, you could try to go by category, but even the categories aren't sorted by latest releases. And even when they are, the releases are so flooded that you don't know what's good and what's not. You don't know what games you might enjoy based on games you've actually played. The Switch logs your play hours. Nintendo knows what games you're playing and for how long you're playing them. So why can't they curate to us the way Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime does and actually find things that we might be interested in playing that isn't just first-party stuff? Why can't they see that I've put in, 15, 20 hours with Hades and start to suggest other games similar to that from indie developers? Why is this not a thing? Why is the eShop not organized the same way our streaming services are for things like movies and TV shows? I don't get it. It's stupid. And to be clear, the Xbox and the PlayStation stores are better, but even they have some ways to go with how they organize their content. But technically, it is better and easier to discover certain things. But all of them could use some work. The Switch is just the worst. So I do think this $250 game is simply a situation where they're just trying a different method to get noticed. And it's working so far. I mean, I'm sure they haven't sold any copies at $250, but it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is to get attention, discount back to $10, which is what it's supposed to cost, and then try to increase sales from there by showing an insane sale price on Switch. I don't blame the company for attempting this. I mean, it's a good game. It's buried by everything. You might as well attempt to do what you need to do to get noticed. So I'm not blaming this company for trying this. I'm blaming Nintendo for not having a way to discover games like Membrane that are actually good, to not give us a way for user ratings so users at a quick glance can tell if a game is even worth their time. This, to me, by the way, reminds me of the fact that YouTube's getting rid of dislikes. So now, at a glance, nobody's going to be able to tell if a video is worth their time, let alone tutorial videos, which are all over YouTube. You're not going to know if the tutorial is any good or not until you've already wasted 10 minutes of your time. And what's sad about that is that there's only one thing we can't get back in life, and that's time. We only have a finite amount of time. So the fact that YouTube is going to disrespect that by getting rid of dislikes with some bullshit excuse that even one of the co-founders of YouTube says just completely destroys the whole point of user-generated content. The whole point of user-generated content is not only so you can see what's good and what's bad, and maybe a majority of what's uploaded is bad. It's because how do you know if anything's truly great if nothing's truly bad? And I really like that comparison of on a user-generated content site, yeah, how are you supposed to know what's good and what's bad? See, this isn't like on like Twitter, right? That, when you compare it to, when YouTube did the comparison to Twitter, it's like, okay, yeah, Twitter doesn't have a dislike button, which they actually do on replies. They don't on main tweets. But you know what's funny about Twitter? There's not a lot of discoverability. You basically look up specific people you want to follow on Twitter and then you follow them. So your feed is made up essentially of people that you chose to follow. Think of it like the subscription feed on YouTube. So Twitter already doesn't work the same. Like people who've already subscribed to a bunch of YouTube channels probably don't need a like or dislike thing on those videos because they already know they enjoy them. That's why they're following those channels. But YouTube isn't like Twitter. YouTube has a lot of discoverability, suggested videos, the homepage, sometimes even random notifications for places you're not even subscribed to. Like YouTube has a lot of ways to get discoverable on their platform. And how are you going to know that? They have a giant search bar where you're not looking for specific creators, you're looking for specific information. Like if I'm looking how to change oil on a 2013 Dodge Durango, how am I going to know which one of those videos is actually the one I should spend my time watching? And reality is, there are some real reasons that they're removing the dislike button, but they're never going to admit to it. And the funny thing about removing the dislikes is, you know what it ends up doing when I do things like look up how to change oil on a 2013 Dodge Durango? I'm going to end up choosing, most likely mentally, videos that are done by companies that I recognize. So Pennzoil, or I don't even know. I'm just thinking of random companies, O'Reilly or something like that. If they have a video up, I'm probably going to choose them first because they're a recognized brand name, even if that might not even be the best tutorial, because they might be using tools and things and explain things in a way that isn't always doable by people at home. As an example, what happens if you can't jack your car in the air? What do you do then? What happens if, there's other issues and you don't have the exact right tools or the exact right oil composition, or like, how are you going to know? Because a lot of these videos are just going to be the bog standard. Well, here's our tools that you can get at the O'Reilly store and blah, blah, blah. Instead of actually getting a real person who does this on their own at home all the time that isn't really there to advertise a very specific brand. But it doesn't matter because mentally, I don't know if those videos are good or not, and I don't want to waste my time, so I'm going to end up choosing a company that's more trusted, and then I still might not get what I want. So it's a problem. Just like this is a problem. Yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think? Let's see here. Twitter in 3 words is you're a twit. I don't agree with that. I think the reputation of social media accounts is a little unfair sometimes. Like when people say Twitter is toxic, I could see why people say that. But I can say the same thing about YouTube. YouTube's toxic. Facebook's toxic. Instagram is toxic. TikTok is toxic. There's toxicity everywhere. It's not the platform, it's people. People are toxic. And this gets ignored by blaming the platform for not doing anything about that toxicity. The thing is, Twitter gives you all the tools you need. There's people harassing you, you can block them. Oh, you don't want to block them because then they know they're blocked? You can mute them, and then they don't even know it. They can still see all your tweets. They can reply to everything. They can talk to other people, but you can't see them unless you specifically look for them. Like, there are ways. Twitter already gives you the tools to deal with all this stuff, including reporting and harassment, just like Facebook does, just like all these platforms do. I don't expect the platform to fix human nature. It's just not a realistic thing to expect. I don't expect YouTube to make it so people can't come on my channel and talk trash. I don't expect YouTube to make it so we don't get spam bots in our live stream sometimes. What I expect is YouTube to give us the tools to deal with it when it happens. And they have given us the tools to deal with it when it happens. I can't expect these social media platforms to change the way people think and the way people decide to use the internet, where they use oftentimes the guise of anonymity to basically say anything they want without repercussion. And even when they don't use the guise of anonymity, well, chances are, if someone comes on and starts trash talking YouTubers or trash talking politicians or whatever they're doing, it won't affect their job because people at their job aren't following them on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok. And because of that, they don't see the behavior that might poorly represent their company. Now, there is always that inherent risk that what you say on social media can lead to you losing your job. I know this. I have a job. I could lose it by what I say here on YouTube. It's a risk I take. So, yeah, I obviously believe in a different approach. I believe in be kind. I believe in approaching people with kindness. I believe in trying to let people say what they got to say, even when I'm impassioned and maybe debating really hard with somebody. I don't wish anyone ill will. Even the people that I have banned on my channel, I don't wish them any ill will. It's more so I'm just worried about either my users or my own mental health when I end up banning a person that isn't a bot. It's not because I can't take criticism. It's not because I, can't deal with things. It's because, what, I deal with enough in my daily life. I don't need to also deal with the internet trolls out there. And even if it's not trolling, sometimes I just don't want to deal with it. So the easiest thing for me is to just ban you or mute you or hide you because I got other stuff to worry about. And you can criticize me for doing that, and that's fine, but everyone should be doing that. Twitter shoves it down your throat and supports the toxic behavior. They also had CP rings running rampant on the site. The thing is, I don't think that I've been on Twitter for years. And honestly, Twitter is as toxic as you want it to be. I'll give you an example. Are you really into politics? Like super into politics. You're voting at every vote there is for every position there is. You're constantly watching news channels and reading news websites and watching like Russell Brand on YouTube or Philip DeFranco or a billion other places, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. I don't really care where you get your news from. None of it matters to me. It's your own personal choice. Are you really deeply seated in politics and constantly talking to your friends about it and family? Okay. So if you go on any social media platform and follow any politician, you're going to see a lot of toxicity. Why? It's something people are super passionate about, one way or another. And they take that passion to the extreme. And so then you're going to be on these platforms and you're going to talk about how toxic these places are. Like, so-and-so, Barack Obama put up a tweet about some charity event. And in the comments, he's just being blasted. And there's all these racism and all this other. Okay, yeah, it happens. People are cruel. And if you follow figures that are polarizing, which all politicians are, because politics itself is polarizing, you're going to see that. Whereas, as an example, if you follow me on Twitter, there's actually not a lot of toxicity around my stuff. When I make tweets, they're not controversial for the most part. And even when they are, let's say I make a statement like Ocarina of Time is one of my top 10 Zelda games. It's a controversy that people don't seem to care as much about as politics or other things. Like, I don't see the toxicity because on Twitter, I'm only following like video game channels. And they're video game channels that don't promote things like console wars. So because I'm not following channels that promote console wars. Even Digital Foundry, I have them muted. I only see their stuff when I want to because there's a lot of people who fight in the comments about it. Like, so I have curated my experience on Twitter to the point that I don't actually see a ton of toxicity on Twitter. Sometimes it sucks, but we have to consider what we're there for social media for. I'm not on social media to show support for politicians or religions. I'm not on social media to argue with people. That's not. I'm there to chit chat with fans, find content that I'm interested in, and move on with my day. That's it. Hear breaking news about sports. I follow a bunch of sport guys, for breaking news about sports stuff. I'm not on social media trying to have in-depth conversations about serious things. And I think what happens is a lot of people do use social media for that. And I don't think social media is a good platform to do that. I think there are ways to have in-depth conversations through live streams, or if on Twitter they now have implemented, some of us, not everyone has the ability, but some of us have the ability to create these big chats where we can invite pretty much everyone who follows us in, and we can enable individual users to talk. And I think when you get not face to face, but you hear each other's voice talking like on a phone call, I think it's a lot more productive than, say, 140 characters in a tweet, even though I know it's more than 140 now. So I think I think that social media in general is as toxic as you sort of don't make it be, but as toxic as the communities that you're participating in. Politics is a very toxic thing to participate in, unfortunately. It just is. So because of that, no matter where you go, even in person, it's going to be bad. So yeah, that's just the way it is. So I don't think that Twitter is any more toxic than YouTube. You've seen like political videos thrown up on YouTube? Do you see what's happening in the comment sections? It's not any better. Was that there's settings you can uncheck to remove unwanted Twitter alerts. Yep, that's the thing. Twitter gives you all the tools to curate your experience. I don't think that people are aware of the tools, even though they have been talked about and they've told people about it. I think on Twitter specifically, people just aren't aware of the tools. There's a lot of them. They give you a lot of options to really curate and kind of make it so you don't see the toxicity. And now some people can argue, well, if you're doing that, then you're just creating an echo chamber. Sure. Fine. But if you're bothered by the dissenting opinions and toxicity anyways, you probably would rather have an echo chamber. So I honestly don't think it's that big a deal. I think social media platforms are what they are, and people are just assholes, and they don't care about how this stuff affects people's mental health. In fact, if it affects your mental health, they probably laugh at you saying, why are you letting social media affect your mental health? LOL, you're so weak. And it's a bit more understanding when you're a content creator, of course, because we're in front of cameras, right? We're not just, a picture or an avatar on the internet, typing on a computer or a phone. We're real people you see on camera, you interact with on live streams. So there's a lot more understanding of the mental toll that happens on, say, Twitch streamers or YouTube streamers and content creators, because you could see the mental toll on us when something happens. But that mental toll exists for everybody, whether they're in front of a camera or not. And people don't think about that. Tools don't matter. They willingly post directly to your feed. They do matter, Buzzette. You can hide them. All you got to do is see it one time. Hide, mute, block. You can get rid of it. You control it. I'm telling you, I've been on Twitter for years. I don't see any of this crap anymore. I did at one point. I don't anymore. I've curated it enough. I basically see video game and sports news, and that's it. All video game and sports news. Video game and sports news. There's hardly anything controversial on my timeline. Any toxicity on my timeline. Because I've curated it. The tools are there. You just have to use them. Taker 610! Thank you so much, Taker 610. Says, you guys deserve to have a better E3 to cover. Hopefully we can have some fun and surprises with the Game Awards. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, thanks. Thanksgiving's not until next week, but thank you for that. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the Game Awards. I think it's going to be better than E3, just to be honest. Although E3 isn't a very high bar at this point. Verizon 5G, and I don't think we're going to see Verizon 5G at the Game Awards. So it's already probably going to be better just based off that. So yeah, I think the Game Awards are going to be pretty good. As for E3 next year, we'll see. If it's in person, the plan right now is to go in person. I am trying to work out a plan for next year where Yulia is coming with to help as well. Not only for my mental health because I love Eric and he's amazing, but um, there is so much work that I do when I'm at E3. So much work. It's insane. And I'm literally like up at like 5 a.m. and I don't go back to sleep until like 2 a.m. And I'm 3 hours a night, 10 days in a row, nonstop on my feet, nonstop driving in crappy traffic. Um, it's just, it's a lot and it's mentally taxing. And as much as Eric's a good guy, he's not very good at helping out my mental stress. He could tell I'm stressed, and he'll be like, "Oh, dude, I'll go get you some food," or "Hey, I'll go and like, it looks like you could use some time to yourself, so I'll leave for a little bit." And it's like that's fine, but sometimes what I need is a hug. Sometimes what I need is just, the moment the camera's off on live stream, or if I take a break from editing for a moment, I just need to like just talk and like let my stress out and explain myself. And again, this isn't a knock on Eric. It's just I think if Yulia was there, I would be less stressed because she's very understanding that it's work. I'm there to work. She might she's gonna come to find out that it's insane what I do. She hears about what I do when I go to E3, but I don't think she understands how workaholic I am when I'm there. It just doesn't stop. I'm there to work and work. I'm not there to have fun. I'm not there to go to Disneyland. I'm not there to do anything fun. The beaches, baseball games. I'm not there to do anything that's actually fun. I'm there to work. So, yeah. Excellent videos today. Thanks. I only did one video today, but thank you. Don't defame the giant name of Verizon 5G. Yeah. What am I doing? Verizon 5G was the best part of E3. Best. See, there's Yulia. She's all mad at me. See what I mean? This is just the way my day is going. I told you my fiance's mad at me, and she's mad at me, and now she's like, I might not even come home after work. So I mean, it's just my day to day. Nothing in my life outside of YouTube is going well. In fact, even life on YouTube is not always great. Like my video today didn't do very well. It is, what are you gonna do? What did I do? Um, well, I'm kind of curious what I did myself. To be honest. Um, she texted me. She asked how the kids were, and I'm like, I don't know, they're kids. They were fine. And then she called me and she asked me why I spent the extra $100 on our car payment, and I said, "Oh, it was a mistake." And it went from it being a mistake where I accidentally told the person on the phone the wrong amount, um, to her thinking I'm bitching at her and hanging up on me, and then all of a sudden from there it just went to, that why are you bitching at me, blah blah. It's relationship stuff, and we hardly ever argue. So like when I see her getting all mad like this, it's like I'm at a loss. I don't know what to say. Like I explained, and then she's like, instead of streaming, you could be cleaning, which I've already been cleaning for like 2.5 hours. But she wouldn't know because she's not here. So when she doesn't see it being done, she doesn't think it's happening. It's not her fault, by the way. I'm not mad at her for it. She's stressed as well, and has her own stresses going on. She's at work, and that doesn't help either. So it's just a lot of, um, we don't argue like ever. So uh, I think it's just some misunderstandings and miscommunication, and there isn't anything we can do until we're around each other again. So, again, I'm not mad at her about it. It's just I know I can't. There's nothing I can say that's going to change her mood right now. Nothing I can say. Not worried about it. It's been probably a year since she's been this mad at me, but what are you gonna do? It's just life. I don't even consider it a fight. I wasn't fighting. She was just yelling at me, and then I just explained my week, and she didn't like that. So it just it happened. Taker 610. By the way, your music doesn't work on that last one. On which one? On which one didn't work? This? Oh, it's working. How are you talking about, man? Thanks so much for the $2. What do you mean the music didn't work? It looks like it's working. I'm not gonna. Why would I break up with her? Are you guys insane? Dude, we've been together 10 years. Why am I gonna break up with her because she's stressed out? Like, come on. Come on. Breaking up isn't always the answer, guys. We literally, it's like maybe once a year that she gets like, upset with me. And chances are, it wasn't even me. She probably was stressed about something else. And then she saw that I spent an extra $100 on her car payment. That triggered her. She didn't like what I said. She assumed I lied to her, which I didn't. And it just went from there. So it's not that big a deal. I mean, it's stressful, but also I know there's nothing I can do or say. So you just got to kind of let it be until we're around each other again and we can actually talk. That's, again, the problem with not being around each other right now is that, like, there's no understanding or explanations or seeing what I've done cleaning wise or any of that stuff. So it's not that big a deal. It's stressful, but relationships are wonderful. But yeah, every time you involve another person in your life, no matter who that person is, children, family, girlfriends, boyfriends, there's always going to be an extra added level of stress because there's an extra added layer of expectation from somebody that you don't control. So she normally supports everything I do on YouTube. So right now, she's probably stressed about money, which I don't know why she is. I get paid next week. I'll talk to her for you. There's nothing you can really say. She'll be all right. Hey, I live in a house full of women. I'm the only guy, and I know women get mad sometimes just have to let them cool down. Well, they also have things that you go through every month that make them a bit more emotional, and she happens to be around that time of the month. I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm just, you know, again, I'm not mad. I'm frustrated with it because I just didn't need any more stress today. Why does Kotaku need to close up? What'd they do now, Bowsette? What did Kotaku do now? What did Kotaku do now? I have no idea. I mean, Kotaku's done a bunch of things, but did they do something new now to make you upset? I haven't been there in like a week, so I have no idea. I check out there once in a while to see if they have any stories, and they usually don't. Usually, if they do have anything that matters, I'll find out about it somewhere else before I check out their site. What are the odds that Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope being at the Game Awards, plus any predictions about Sparks of Hope? I mean, it's supposed to come out early next year, first half of next year, so I would think Sparks of Hope has a chance to be there. Obviously, I worry about, as anyone should, like, is that the right audience to show Sparks of Hope to? That I don't know. Because a lot of people that are going to watch something that has awards for games are going to be people that are like hardcore gamers, I guess, to not have another way to call that. And because of that, it can always be said, the Rabbids are hated by a lot of people. Mario is viewed as a kid's game. Is this really going to be the audience to show that kind of game to? I don't know. I think it's got a chance to be there, and I think it can look good, but I just don't know. I'm all for seeing anything, any game. It doesn't have to be on Switch. Like, there's going to be a bunch of games shown. I'm excited in general for what's going to be shown for Xbox, PlayStation, PC. There's even good games on mobile phones. Some of the games nominated for the mobile category this year, if you actually go download them, I downloaded 2 of them. They're really damn good. Like, I keep telling people, there's legit gaming on here, and you want to know where to start, go look at the nominations for best mobile game and go download some of the games. And you'll quickly see that gaming's come a long ways on phone. Less than 20 days till infinite. It feels weird. Like, oh, less than 20 days till infinite, except you can play it right now. I know we don't have all the maps and all the weapons and all the skins, but like you can play Halo Infinite right now for free, and when it comes out in 20 days, you're still playing for free. You're just kind of it's almost like Halo Infinite's out now, multiplayer wise, but in 20 days, you're also gonna have like a content patch. That's really what it feels like. It feels like Halo Infinite's out now, and in 20 days we get a big content patch. That's kind of what it feels like. It doesn't really feel like, oh, it's releasing in 20 days. Like, you can already play it, so and it all transfers over. So yeah, it's just a content patch, really. But I mean, I understand. Technically, it's not. It's a beta, and there's differences. But the Bucks won, did they? That's good. They were winning at halftime, but I didn't watch the second half, obviously. Busy trying to deal with my kids and get the stream set up. What was the score here? Let's see. Oh, they only won by 7. Man, that's a low score. They didn't score a lot of points. But whatever. A win's a win's a win. They just need to get wins right now. Pile up the wins while they're getting healthy. Yeah, it looks like nobody really had a good shooting game. Maybe Grayson Allen and George Hill. Otherwise, everybody else had a really bad shooting game. And they still won, so that's all that really matters. Bad shooting game, but you still win? Cool. I guess Chris Middleton had an alright game. He just didn't take a lot of shots. But yeah. So. But you can have a bad shooting game in the NBA and still win. That's always a good sign. It means their defense didn't go away just because their shots didn't fall. Rabbits are hated because their side characters forced to the front, like minions. Some people don't like that. I don't think that's why they're hated at all. I don't think the minions, as an example, are hated because they're side characters that now have become like lead characters and have their own movie. The minions are hated because people genuinely find them annoying and stupid. And that was true when they were side characters, even more true when they're lead characters. They're not hated because they became lead characters, they're hated because they don't like them in the first place. Same with Rabbids. People don't hate Rabbids because now they have their own games and are teamed with Mario. They didn't like them when they were part of the Rayman series. Like, bottom line is, they were never liked by a lot of people because they find them to be stupid and annoying. And this is just the way it goes. The minions and the Rabbids are what we call slapstick comedy. So I love Will Ferrell. I think he's hilarious. Some people think he's one of the worst comedics in the world and really stupid and does nothing great. Same was true of Chris Farley back in the day. Oh yeah, Tommy Boy, it's all slapstick comedy. And if you don't like slapstick comedy, you're going to think it's lazy comedy, that it's not good. It's like Adam Sandler, like a lot of people don't like these guys because they don't like that kind of comedy. But there's obviously enough people that do enjoy that kind of comedy that they continue to exist. So Minions has thrived. The Rabbids has thrived. Chris Farley back when he was still alive, rest in peace. Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell, they've all thrived because enough people enjoy that style of comedy to thrive. But there's a lot of people that think that style of comedy is stupid and asinine and not worth your time. So, yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with them being side characters becoming front characters. It has to do with that they were never liked by those people in the first place. As an example, Despicable Me. Some people like Despicable Me. But if they hate the Minions when they're on their own, they also hated the Minions in that movie. Chances are they probably didn't like Despicable Me because of the Minions. That's my experience based on people I talked to that I know don't like the Minions or like the Rabbids. A lot of them just never liked them. It has nothing to do with their side characters or front characters. They just think they're stupid. What are you going to do? No. Yeah, Tommy Boy and Black Sheep, those are great movies. Beverly Hills Ninja. There's a lot of really good movies. Like Chris Farley. I'd say 4 or 5 that are just top tier comedy. But again, I know plenty of people that don't like it. Think it's stupid. And I get it. It's slapstick humor. So, yeah, like John C says, I prefer dry humor of Norm Macdonald, and Norm Macdonald's funny too. But but we know it's a completely different way, right? So it's all about preferences. That's the beauty of entertainment. Is there's basically something for everybody. Especially if you do like to laugh, because who doesn't like to laugh? But some of us have very specific tastes that make us laugh. As an example, some people like the Marvel movies, but they don't like the comedy in the Marvel movies. Believe it or not. They don't think the characters should be funny because it's a serious thing they're doing. So like it's all a balancing act of trying to hit with enough people to matter. Like you'll always notice like Will Ferrell movies as an example are one of the lowest rated movies that are out there. Like when Talladega Nights came out, it would get like a freaking 15 on Rotten Tomato and even beyond Rotten Tomato, which is basically extremely favorable to indie films and basically hates everything else. Um, when you go to other movie critic aggregation websites, even Metacritic that has it, it's stupidly low rated. And yet, I can watch Talladega Nights every single day and be highly entertained. I would nowhere near rank it the way they do. But again, a lot of movie critics that watch movies all the time aren't into slapstick humor and think it's stupid. So I love Adam Sandler movies. Most people dislike them. A lot of people think like some of his early work was all right, but then they got sick of it. Is what happened because like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, it's like that character he plays never really evolved. Big Daddy, and you go from there, and it's just he's still that same character in almost everything. Which, by the way, is unfair to Adam Sandler, who's actually done some serious roles and actually done them really well, and rarely gets credit for it. Just like Jim Carrey, and I think the number 23. Jim Carrey did a fantastic job in that movie, and it was not a comedy at all. And he hardly ever gets credit for the fact that he isn't just a comedian. He's got acting chops. I think the only movie recently that people have seemed to enjoy from Adam Sandler, I think was what was it? That Halloween movie that he did on Netflix. I think it is the most like Netflix movie he's done anyways. But he's done like 4 or 5 Netflix movies, and most of them were just I mean, even me who likes Adam Sandler, I thought those movies were just, I don't know, forced. Like he's making them just because he has a contract, not making them because he has good ideas. But that Halloween movie, he legitimately had some pretty good ideas for that one. So I think that's why people like that. And the Truman Show, yeah, yeah. Again, and people are like, "Oh, there's funny." Yeah, there are a couple funny moments in the Truman Show, but it's a very serious act. Like what Jim Carrey had to do in the Truman Show is very serious. Um, and he did a fantastic job. I mean, Jim Carrey is just a phenomenal actor that I wish people would respect him beyond his comedy, which his comedy is one of a kind and amazing. And I love him as Ace Ventura. I love him in Liar Liar. I love him in all these movies. I love him as Dr. Robotnik. Like he's hilarious and fantastic. And Me, Myself, and Irene, and does all these things that few actors can do. But he's not just that. And sometimes it's tough when you paint guys into that corner. Like it's not like Will Ferrell, who I can't remember a serious role that Will Ferrell's ever done. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember a serious role that he's done. I think it's always been comedy, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Someone might bring up something that I just a film I haven't seen. Punch Drunk Love. Yep, that's another serious one and really good. Like again, some of these slapstick humor comedians don't get enough credit for some of their ability to go outside of their usual and do more. Maybe because that's not why people watch them, right? Like people don't go to a Jim Carrey movie expecting serious. Don't go to an Adam Sandler movie expect to laugh. And then when they go to the movie and that's not what it is, they're kind of like, "Oh, I don't like this movie," because they went in there with the expectation that it was going to be comedy and it's not, right? And I think that's part of what happens with, "Oh, these movies are disliked," or we don't because it's not like Will Smith where Will Smith is one of the few people that was able to have some comedy and serious roles really early in his acting career. So people didn't look at Will Smith as just a comedian, even though his entire role on Fresh Prince of Bel Air was basically comedic relief, right? Like he was the comedic relief, but they did some really brilliant things in the Fresh Prince of Bel Air where he was the comedic relief who also dealt with real life serious situations and dealt with those situations in a non-funny way, like his dad. I mean, obviously one of Will Smith's, if you look at any top 5, scenes that Will Smith's ever acted in, you're gonna see the scene with his Uncle Phil and his dad, and him talking to his dad and Uncle Phil, and dealing with the abandonment of fathers and them popping back in your life and making promises and then vanishing again. Something that's very real, and a lot of people unfortunately deal with, whether it's a mom or a cousin or a sister or a father, where you love them so much and they vanished on you, and then they come back and you're trying to be You get your hopes up as a kid, as a teenager, and then it gets crushed. Like, he was able to convey the emotions of that situation very well. And so that, I think, helped Will Smith, or people looking to hire Will Smith after French Prince of Bel-Air, realize he's not just a comedy guy. Dude, he can act. And so he got kind of lucky because Fresh Prince, while he was the comedic relief, had enough serious moments like that it made people looking to hire him realize, and made the audience realize that Will Smith is just an incredible actor. George Lopez did that serious movie too. Yep. Same as my dad. Yeah, dude. That Will Smith dad moment. That was intense. Man, that was intense. All right. Q&A time. You guys got any questions? I know we kind of went off on tirades of life and movies and all that, but you guys got any actual questions? Any serious questions? He was pretty good in iRobot. Yeah, he was pretty good in iRobot. I don't know that the script was great in iRobot, but I mean, he was fine. Like, sometimes you get like a great actor in a movie where the movie itself isn't put together as well as I feel like it should be. Like, I like the concept of iRobot, but I'm not sure if I like the execution. But it had nothing to do with Will Smith. What game sales on Switch do you buy, Nate? None. I can't remember the last time I went on the eShop and bought something based on a sale. What's your favorite all-time game? That is Breath of the Wild, baby. Logan LeBlanc says Jim Carrey is still your favorite Riddler too. Yeah, he was pretty good as Riddler. A very different kind of Riddler. Yeah, he was pretty good as Riddler. How do you feel about Cyberpunk in the Game Awards? Could it win? So it's up for like 2 awards, right? I think it's up for Best Music, which I think you could argue it has a shot at that. None of the controversy around Cyberpunk had anything to do with the music. The music score in that game is really good. So I think it has a shot at that category because I think if we're being fair, Cyberpunk probably deserves to be in that category. If there was any award they deserved to be in, it was that. As for Best RPG, I don't think it has a chance. I think with the controversy around it, I think it's on that list because most of the panel had played Cyberpunk. And here's the thing. I want to be careful when we talk about Cyberpunk 2077. It's not a bad game. That might sound controversial, but it's not a bad game. It was broken at launch. On certain platforms, especially PlayStation, Xbox, had lots of issues. It definitely wasn't finished or polished the way that you would like. And there were some AI issues, obviously, with the game. So it definitely was one of the more broken games to launch from the AAA space in some time. But as they patched things and as things got a little better and you get under the surface, it turns out that it's actually a pretty solid game. But solid is about all I can do. It's a far cry from any of the 3 Witcher games in terms of quality. So it is just an alright game. You could legitimately play Cyberpunk 2077 and have some fun. It's an alright game. And because it's just an alright game, I think it only made the list of RPGs this year because outside of the 4 other contenders, there wasn't a lot of big name RPGs this year, right? You know, if you look at the 4 contenders, the 3 that I think have a realistic shot are Monster Hunter Rise, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and Tales of Arise. I think those are your top 3, and in some order. One of those 3 I think are winning, period. I don't think the other 2 matter, including Cyberpunk. But I think that Cyberpunk's kind of on the list just sort of by default because there wasn't a lot of other critically acclaimed RPGs that came out this year. So I think it's just kind of it's there because they needed another nominee. But I don't think it has a chance to win that award. So music, yes. Or best score or whatever it's up for, absolutely. Best RPG is probably last on that list of 5. And I think they know it. Again, I think it's just they didn't have 5. So they had to find something. Cyberpunk is something everyone on the panel has probably played due to the controversy alone. So it made the list. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna. It's not gonna win. I think everybody knows Monster Hunter Rise, Tales of Arise, and Shin Megami Tensei 5. Those are the ones that have a chance to win. And obviously, you know, if you look at popularity, you would think, well, probably Monster Hunter, but then Tales is pretty popular. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is recent. So maybe there's some recency bias with the panel that ends up making that become the winner. So Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I think one of those 3 are gonna win, and I don't think I'd be disappointed if any of those 3 win. If any of those 3 win, Tales of Arise, Monster Hunter Rise, or Shin Megami Tensei 5, I don't think you can be disappointed. I think they're all about equal in terms of how great they are in different ways. Astral Chain's amazing. Yeah, but Astral Chain didn't come out this year. What do I think is the best RPG of all time? That's a tough one. So my second favorite game of all time is Secret of Mana. So to me, that would probably be the best RPG of all time. So I guess I'll stick with that. But that's not to dismiss anything else. There's so many, even from classic to today. I mean, I love The Witcher 3 as an example. But I mean, my second favorite game of all time. So how can I go with anything else? What's your favorite Nintendo console? So that used to be easy. When people used to ask that question over the last 4 years, it was like, oh, it's SNES all the way. Super Nintendo Entertainment System all the way, right? Big part of my childhood. I loved pretty much everything I played on it. It was the heyday of movie games actually being good. The Lion King, despite being stupidly difficult, was a really good game. I thought the Home Alone 2 specifically was a really good game on there. Aladdin was good. So like it was like the heyday of the really good movie games. You had Primal Rage and a whole bunch of arcade games coming over. Obviously, you had Link to the Past and Mega Man and that whole era. Even the Genesis, was really good. So um, I used to say SNES. I'm slowly converting to Switch being my favorite platform of all time. I don't know if I'm all the way there yet. I need to see how the generation ends, and I've been saying this for the last year or so. I need to see how Switch ends. It has on it my favorite Zelda game of all time, even though it's also on Wii U. It has my favorite Mario game of all time. It has my favorite Smash Bros. Game of all time. It has right now so far my favorite Splatoon game of all time because I think Splatoon 2 is better than Splatoon. I don't know if it has my favorite Mario Party game yet. I got to play more of Mario Party Superstars and see what updates it gets in the future. But right now, it is the best Mario Party game I've played because it has really good online. So right up there for Mario Party. Some amazing new IPs in Astral Chain. Arms I thought was really, really good. It's actually one of the few fighting games I really enjoy. So, like, I think about the library and I think about some of the third party games that are there. I think about some of the great indie games as well. As much as I have to criticize about the platform, the shitty Switch service, the crappy expansion pack, the way they handle online chat with a phone app, the crappy eShop, the lack of virtual console truly there, and no themes or music and yada yada yada. Like as much as all these things I can criticize, the fact that they're using technology from 2017 and 2021, lol. Look, we can criticize all this stuff about it, but to me it comes down to the games. And I actually think Switch has a phenomenal game lineup. Phenomenal. It's got all the best Wii U games essentially, plus all the Switch exclusive games, plus some really good third party content and really good indie games. So it's getting to the point, plus the convenience of playing on my TV and on the go like that without using add-ons. Which I mean, this dock is an add-on, but it's packed in the box. So yeah, I think that there is a lot to be desired there. So I don't know if I'm ready to say Switch is at the top, but it's getting really close to being neck and neck with the SNES. And that's saying a lot for me because I never thought SNES could get top. Because nostalgia factor alone, fond memories from a childhood really keeps SNES flying high. But Switch is almost there for favorite Nintendo. See here. We hope to get the ARMS sequel legs. I think it'd be called ARMS too. I don't think they're going to change the mechanic to legs. It would be. I mean, it could, I suppose. Who the hell knows what Nintendo's doing? I think ARMS sold well enough to warrant a sequel. By the way, 2 million's a lot for a fighting game. But when they got Smash Bros next to it, they might go, "Oh, we could spend time on that or not." So we'll see. Miles was asking about Astral Chain. What about it? What does he want to know about Astral Chain? It's really good. What do you think is the best RPG of all time? I answered that one. Let's see here. Any more questions? Just at me in the chat, guys. At me in the chat, at Nintendo Prime in the chat to ask your questions. That way your comment gets highlighted for me. Or you can obviously super chat. That pops every question at the top as well. And get some shots in me. Best console for when I was a child. Nest with a lot of Stella games and all accessories blown my child mind. I hope Switch comes out with some better special edition consoles like the Animal Crossing line. Does Dread actually stand a chance at winning Game of the Year? Yes. It's not a year where there is a clear and obvious best game or 2 or 3 games that are best. So in a year where it's not clear and obvious, Metroid Dread has a chance. We'll see. It would be crazy to me if it did it. The idea of a 2D side-scrolling platforming game winning Game of the Year to me is just, wow. I never thought I'd see the day at the Game Awards. Yeah, there'll be Nintendo websites that do it, of course, but so we'll see. And it might be a boost in sales too, to people who haven't played it yet. So we'll see. You hope that Switch will some better special edition costumes like the Animal Crossing one. Yeah, they don't do modified consoles enough. The base Switch modified console. They did one for Animal Crossing. They did one for Monster Hunter back in the day. They just don't do enough of them. But they're like, oh, we give you special Joy-Con, like the Mario Red Joy-Con with Odyssey. Really? Now they save a lot of their modified systems for like the Switch Lite, and it's like, but not everyone wants to buy Switch Lite. I've heard the GTA Trilogy is incomplete. How long do you think it'll take them to fix it to be worth buying it? I don't think any of the bugs in GTA Trilogy are egregious to the point that you can't enjoy the game. Or the games. There's 3 of them. So I think it's already enjoyable for a lot of people. As for how long it'll take them to patch it, I have no idea. I think the sad part about it is it's just an example of another massive company in Rockstar not caring about the quality of releases. I know they hired a different company to make it, but they should have did a quality check before releasing it. And if this passed their quality check internally, that's really, really sad and shows how little Rockstar cares about their fans. Because GTA Trilogy was always going to sell on the back of they have a lot of GTA fans. And, the games kind of did them dirty. And that's unfortunate to see just another company care more about spending as least amount of money possible to make as much money rather than focusing on releasing a good product. But some people are enjoying it just fine. So it's not like they're unplayable. Now GTA 5 is obviously their cash cow at the moment. So that's what they care about most. Think we'll get a Zelda themed Switch for Breath of the Wild 2? I hope so. Like if the first one sells 25 million, which you could say, okay, at launch, you can understand not having a Zelda themed system. Breath of the Wild 2 better have a Zelda themed system. It better not just be a Switch Lite. If it doesn't win GOTY, it still has 7 Emmys. I know, I've seen that. I've seen that meme going around because of all the, oh, it's won Emmy Awards because of the Emmy. You hope we get a special edition of Sparks of Hope. We'll see. The first one sold well enough that they might do it. Any more questions, guys? Are we getting close to wrapping up the stream? Chat's slowing down a little bit, so that's all right. It's all right if we have an early call on the stream tonight. Not a big deal. We'll be back at it again on Monday, playing games on Tuesday. Not the end of the world if it's an early call. One call, that's all. think Gruber ads in Wisconsin. Most of you guys probably don't even get that reference because it's a Gruber Law Office ad that's on all the sports channels in Wisconsin. You think it's too late to port GTA 5 to Switch at this point in the Switcher's life cycle? I don't think it's ever too late. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think it's very clear at this point in the Switcher's life cycle they don't care. I'm actually surprised we even got GTA Trilogy. And I think if it wasn't for another company working on it, we wouldn't have, because Rockstar has no. They don't care. Rockstar doesn't care about making their games natively on Switch. So the only reason we even got GTA Trilogy is because some third party company did it. What was the $250 game on eShop? It was. I still have it up here. Membrane. Membrane. You can go look it up yourself right now. You don't have to go on your Switch. You can look it up online. It's listed on Nintendo.com. I nominated you for Sexiest Man of the Year, the People magazine, just so you're aware. Don't think that's going to happen. Unless they want to Photoshop me. How do you feel about Shantae? It's your favorite game, but I feel like it only has a cult following because it only does have a cult following. It's not a big seller. I think the Shantae games are really good. But like a lot of games like that, it's more of a small following. You know, that doesn't mean that they're bad games. It's just, they're smaller, more compact games. They don't take as long to beat. No side scrolling kind of stuff. Like it's not the kind of games that typically are going to get noticed. They might go, but look at Metroid. I'm like, I understand. But Metroid also has the backing of Nintendo, so that kind of makes people pay more attention. Greed is why Xbox isn't canceling backwards compatibility. What the hell are you talking about that? They just added 76 more backwards compatible games. What the hell are you talking about? They're not canceling backwards compatibility. What are you talking about? They're doing the opposite. I'm confused. Feel like you might be reading some fake news out there. We literally just covered it live like earlier this week on Monday. Xbox is adding more backwards compatible games. They're not. You wait and see. So basically, you're just saying it's going to happen without having any proof. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So you're just making up a story that doesn't exist. Good to know. What is your opinion on the Game Awards in general? They're fine. They're good. They can be done better. I think I don't mind the way things are voted on. I don't mind the way the winners are chosen. I think the treatment of each award needs to be done better. I think there's so many awards they need to have 2 nights of awards, not one. And I think the first night needs to focus on community and esports, and then the second night focus on the rest. So basically, yeah, split the show over 2 days. Give each award proper. Try to make sure the winners are actually going to be in attendance, etc. So yeah, that's what. Otherwise, I like the award. I like the actual awards part. I'm one of the few people that legitimately likes the actual award. What was my first Snes game? God, what's the earliest Snes game I remember playing? My earliest game I ever played was Punch Out, Mike Tyson's Punch Out on the NES. But what was my earliest Super Nintendo game? I don't even know. You know what's funny? I was old. Like I remember the first NES game I played, and I was younger then. I don't remember the first NES game I played. Isn't that kind of crazy how you can like remember something older than that, but I don't remember. Maybe it's easy to remember the one earlier than that because it was the first like video game I ever played. Yeah, I don't remember what my first NES game was. Kind of weird, right? Like for my favorite platform, I don't remember the first game I played. Well, it was probably my dad's SNES at the time. So whatever games he had. Do I think Mass Effect will ever come to Switch? I don't know. Who knows? Most game producers aren't willing to work with Xbox because they want to do the same as Rockstar and overcharge for old games. Bowsette, I'm going to get to. I hate when this happens. Um, when statements are made that aren't based in reality, but based in assumptions and based in just making things up in your head because you must not like a particular company. The way you're talking makes it sound like you just don't like Xbox, and that's fine. But you're making statements that don't have factually true information behind them. They're literally the best backwards compatible system on the planet. Nintendo should be the most criticized for not supporting backwards compatibility, not Microsoft. When it says, most game producers aren't willing to work with Xbox because they want to do the same as Rockstar and overcharge for old games. They're not charging for old games. You can get access to some of them if you don't own them through like Game Pass, or you could just stick the disc in. You can just play the games you already own on Xbox Series X. Literally, you can stick in an OG Xbox game and just play it. Microsoft isn't charging you if you already own the game. The reason when you talk about, most game producers aren't, for starters, most games from the Xbox 360, and Xbox One games aren't first-party games. So there are over 400 backwards compatible games on the Xbox Series X. It's something like 350 something of them are third-party games. So to sit there and be like, most don't want to work with them when a majority of the backwards compatible titles are third-party games doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of things that get in the way of games coming back out. That for any platform, by the way, if you look at PlayStation, their library is even more limited. You look at Nintendo, it's even more limited. Why aren't we getting all these third-party games back on any platform, not just Xbox? Like, you're sitting here blaming Xbox for something that isn't inherently their problem. It's an industry-wide issue. And that issue is a lot of these old companies have had these IPs transfer rights over and over and over again. Some of these old games have multiple companies that own the rights, like GoldenEye, and it makes it very difficult for some of these old games to come back out again. Other companies also don't want to see those games come back out because they don't think they're good games. So there's a lot to be said here. And when it comes to Xbox, the opposite is true. You're claiming that they don't want to come to Xbox because they want to do the same as Rockstar and charge for old games, except they're not. You can just play them. You think old companies with old content wouldn't want to bring them to Xbox because they want to charge for it? So you're telling me these old companies with old games don't want to make money on their IP? That's basically what you're telling me. That, oh man, EA, who released a game in the 90s, doesn't want it to come back on something like the Xbox because, oh my God, it might get charged money. What are you even talking about? They would make money. Like, if the games, people have to buy them again, Microsoft doesn't get a majority of that money. It goes to the people who own the IP. Think about, like, why is Xbox able to get all these amazing third-party games like Back 4 Blood, MLB The Show, Day One on Game Pass, despite being multi-platform? Because they are writing massive checks to these companies to include it on Game Pass. Companies are making bank off Xbox right now. There's no reason to think it's a greed thing for Xbox. No. Even if they did charge for old content, which they do include some of it in Game Pass, the companies get compensated for that. They make money. It's not a money issue. The issue is licensing. Phil Spencer already put it out there. There's so many licensing and legal issues with a lot of these really old IPs. That's why they've never come back anywhere legally. You might find a ROM emulator on Amazon for $40 that has those games. But for legal re-releases, most classic games don't have legal re-releases because of the legal hurdles. It's got nothing to do with Microsoft and Xbox. It has to do with the IP right owners. Why are we blaming a company? And by the way, I'm not saying Microsoft and Xbox are like this perfect platform. They're not. But they're doing the opposite of what you're saying. You're accusing them of things that aren't factually supported, clearly showing that you have a bias against that company. Because you can't see what's actually happening right in front of your eyes. And that is, it is the best backwards compatible platform of all time. It is the best value in terms of delivering games to consumers ever created in Game Pass. Those are the facts. Now, you want to criticize games as a service? Fine. You want to criticize, I don't even know, like they just announced 76 new backwards compatible games, a bunch of the games getting upgrades that are free. You stick your disc in for certain games into your system, and it will be upgraded with the new enhanced visuals and frame rate for free. They're not making money. They're losing money on backwards compatibility. They're losing money on Game Pass. Now, Game Pass is a bit different because they're doing a Netflix approach. Their approach is invest billions, make a bunch of money in 10, 20 years. Like they're looking at it, they're doing a long, so like Game Pass is meant to make money someday, basically. But backwards compatibility isn't about making money for them. If it was, they wouldn't let you just stick your old games in and play them. That's the exact opposite of what you're claiming they're doing. That doesn't make any sense to me. Nintendo, meanwhile, is charging you a service fee to access their games and give you no other way to play them legally. Nintendo was charging individual prices for games on the virtual console. Oh, remember, because they're charging money. Okay, Nintendo was literally charging you up to $10 to $15, sometimes $20 for an N64 game just back on the Wii U. Per game. And now they're charging you a yearly fee. Nintendo's not giving you any backwards compatibility that's free. Technically, PlayStation's not doing a lot either. PlayStation 4 games have backwards compatibility, but PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 don't. You have to get their service to get access to some of those games. And even then, it's a very small selection of those games. Yeah, I don't understand the mindset that goes against what the facts are. There's a lot of assumptions being made about something that hasn't happened, and under Phil Spencer has never been shown that it's going to happen. Phil Spencer has never done anything since he took over at Xbox. I mean, maybe some over-promises, yes, but he hasn't done anything to make you think that that's what's going to happen. So there needs to be a general disdain either for Phil Spencer or Xbox or Microsoft for you to have that thought. I don't understand how that's even a thought people have. By the way, welcome BLeaf789. You have the latest member of the board of directors of Nintendo Prime. Welcome, man. You've joined the champion ring. You read that on Game Revolution. Game Revolution. All right. Hold on. You don't have anything against them, but you're just believing a random website. I haven't gone to GameRevolution.com in a hell of a long time. They don't really post a lot of things that are that relevant compared to other websites. Anyways, maybe some people prefer the way they write things. Let me see here. I'm trying to find that story. Is it the story? Is it the Xbox quietly ends backward compatibility program? Is that the story? Is that the story you're talking about? Can't be, because there's nothing in there. This is just stating the facts that they've ended the backwards compatibility. Ended is a bit of a hyperbolic thing to say. It's still happening. They just can't add anything else at this time due to technical limitations or legal limitations. Let's see here. I'm trying to find the story. I'll check the chat. Maybe you can tell me what's the name of the story you're talking about, Bowsette? Was that the article? If that's the article you're talking about, then you're saying things that aren't even said in that article. I just skimmed it. The things you said weren't in that article. Here's what that article says. I will literally read it word for word. Let me see here. It says, a recent announcement on Xbox may leave some longtime fans with a bittersweet feeling. The latest update to Xbox backwards compatibility library adds over 70 games, 76, but also marks the final update to the service. Moving forward, there will be no new additions, spelling a quiet end for a fan favorite feature, which, again, is hyperbolic. It's not ending. It's that saying it's ending makes it feel like the games are going away. That's not what's happening. That's just really poor wording. The final update to Xbox backwards compatibility arrives as part of the company's 20th anniversary celebration. Among the news additions are Skate 2, Dead or Alive, Ultimate, and etc. Talking about games. You can find the whole list at Xbox's official website. The Ultimate update also provides a few quality of life enhancements. Okay, talk about some of the positives here. Granted, these additions aren't the biggest news here. Towards the end of the announcement post, the Xbox team noted that this update as the latest and final edition, which the biggest update is that they even added more games. But That's my opinion. The Xbox team noted this update is the latest and final addition to the title's backwards compatibility program. In other words, there seems to be no plans to add more games down the line. Moving forward, the existing list of games will be the entire list. Put it another way, if you want to go back and play games that aren't on the list, you'll have to play them on the original hardware. Certainly disappointing to hear the backwards compatibility program is coming to a close. Granted, it seems to have done its job perfectly. Yeah, some of the stuff you brought up isn't in here. The things like, oh, it's about greed. Oh, it's about money. Oh, none of that's in here. So where the hell did that come from? There are some hyperbolic statements about ending. It's not ending. Phil Spencer already publicly explained why they can't add more games right now. And we already know as Nintendo fans that, yeah, Nintendo's had a problem with that too. Licensing and legal is tough to get around. And technical limitations, whatever those might be. I don't know what the technical limitations might be. Because I'm not behind the scenes working on it. I'm not going to become an elite pro Smash player ever, Corey Bum. I don't enjoy fighting games enough for that. You should have saved it, yeah. I was going to say, that article itself is just delivering the news and adding a little, it's not really clickbait. It's not a factually incorrect statement. It's more of a lacking context in the headline. Which is why I always read articles, because just headline surfing doesn't really give you the real news. If you headline surfed and you saw Xbox quietly ends, Xbox quietly ends backwards compatibility program, what's the thought that pops in your mind just reading that headline? Oh, games aren't backwards compatible on Xbox anymore. That's what pops in my head just reading that. You'd have to read the article to realize that's not actually what's happening. But the headline makes you think that that's what's happening. Now, the rest of the stuff you said obviously is not in this article, so I have no idea where that came from. You honestly believe it's not going to last much longer? I don't know why you believe that. There's been no indication. The backwards compatibility is already there. There's no reason to remove the feature. So I don't know what you're worried about. They have no reason to remove the feature. It's already in existence. They don't have to do any more work. It's done. They could just move on with their day. I don't know why you would think they would remove anything. Yeah, Brian C. basically implied without naming they imply without naming companies that other companies aren't playing ball. There might be, as I said, just like with GoldenEye, a lot of these older games have so many companies that own the IP rights that it can be really difficult to get the legal rights to allow those games to come back. Usually it's not a money thing. It's trying to jump through the hoops with multiple companies that don't want to play nice. Example, again, that's why GoldenEye 007, the original from N64, has never come back, because there's like 12 different companies that own IP rights, including Nintendo, and they can't get all 12 of those companies to agree on anything. Not about the money. Nintendo could throw billions at them. It doesn't matter. The companies can't agree. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'll show the comment, Carlos. We don't attack people like that. We don't attack people like that. So Carlos Morales said that Review Tech is a loser. Anyways, we don't talk about it on our channel, all right, man. It's fine if you feel that way. There's people that feel I'm a loser too, but that is considered a attack on a person. If you want to say that you don't like his content, you think his content's hyperbolic, you think you don't like his opinions, that's fine. But to call someone a loser that's name calling. That's attacking. That's personal. We don't do that. Okay? Not mad at you. Just letting you know, we don't do that with anyone. We don't allow you to do it to our users. You can't do it to me. You can't do it to other YouTubers. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. You don't like them, you don't like them. Don't watch. He had a very clickbait. He had a very clickbait thumbnail. Have you seen my channel? I don't like when people come to me and complain about clickbait thumbnails. They're like, oh man, do you see Review Tech? Okay, yeah. And have you seen my channel? Like, welcome to YouTube. We're all just playing that YouTube game. Trying to mess with the algorithm. You want GameCube games to come? I think everyone would like GameCube games to come. What's up, Sonic Man? Is who scamming? Who is scamming? Yes, there's a $250 game on eShop. It's called Membrane. Brane, not Brain. And by the way, it's actually a really good game. It's been on the Switch since 2018. It was $10. This is a clearly marketing ploy to get attention because the eShop sucks. His comments on live stream. So Carlos Morales. I've seen some of his live streams. I liken it to when you watch my live stream. You get a very different look at the person on live streams versus non-live streams. As an example, earlier today I mentioned that my fiance is mad at me. I mean, is that any of your guys' business? No, it's not. But it's like, okay, what did you do, Nate? Are you a piece of shit? Is she a piece of shit? Who's a piece of shit? Whose fault is it? Blah blah. Like, no, it's nobody's fault. It's just life. And like I'm popping off drinks. I'll go on rants. I'll tell I'll drop swear words. I'm doing shots. It makes me look like an extremely different content creator than I am on my other videos. Rich goes a little bit further. He talks about some things that I personally wouldn't probably get into too much. Like him, doing the Chiba a lot. Which is fine. I don't care that he does it, but people will judge him for it. People will judge him for taking his shirt off, and saying some ridiculous things sometimes. Oh well, I've been there. I've been there. How's my day going? Not great, but whatever. Call me out on your line. I'm not. See, this is the problem when you're a content creator. You can't say anything without people thinking it's personal. I'm not saying that you're trash. I'm just saying that people are different. If you met me in real life, you'd probably be surprised that I'm maybe a lot different than you expect. So I never said that you were trash. I people on the internet take things the wrong way sometimes. It is what it is, as they say, or as I say a lot. There was no attack on you, man. I had nothing against you. I understand the way that you feel. I'm just explaining the context of the situation. That's all. Like, screw it. I've done edibles. I enjoy them. They are lots of fun. I don't think I've ever talked about that. I enjoy them. They're a lot of fun. I just won't do them before a live stream. Because, it's one of those, well, I don't think anything bad's going to happen. Who the hell knows? Right? Like, who knows what's going to happen? I'd rather not put myself in the public eye when maybe I'm not in full control of my mental state. Like, basically, where I'm not able to think before I talk. Real ones, Corey. Real ones. Real. They could be legally bought in Michigan and Illinois. Not quite yet in Minnesota. Minnesota has legal medical. Wisconsin doesn't have legal anything yet. I suspect that's probably going to change. There's multiple bills up in the next 5 years in Wisconsin that's probably going to come close to legalizing it here. So it's going to hit a point that it's probably legal all over the country. But my opinion, there's no reason that booze is legal but weed isn't. Just my opinion. As someone who likes to drink and as someone who has popped some edibles, I really don't understand why. Because people are going to be irresponsible with it. Well, that's the same thing with alcohol. So, like, if alcohol is going to be legal, then I don't really know the problem is. Plus, I will say there was one benefit to it, because I have chronic knee pain, and it does better for my chronic knee pain than basically any other medicine I've ever taken, except like Vicodin. And for obvious reasons, you don't want to just be popping Vicodin all the time. Not unless you want to speed your way to dying. Um, Obvious reasons you don't want to be popping Vicodin all the time. So even though Vicodin does the best to get rid of the pain, or you could argue anything stronger than that, morphine or something crazy, edibles and that kind of stuff are much safer, uh, and do help out with that pain. So I mean, that's not me trying to I mean, I don't pop them usually because of pain, but it is kind of like a side benefit. That any aches and pains I have just seem to kind of go away. And alcohol does a good job of that as well, by the way. Alcohol does help with the pain too. But the problem with alcohol is it takes me like a long time. Like you could pop like a 10 milligram edible, and I'll be feeling great, in like an hour or two. Or I could go out and be drinking for 3, 4 hours. And if I haven't spent like $150 on shots, I probably am not buzzed. Like tonight, you know what? We did a shot of Malibu, a few shots of wine. I'm not. It's like I didn't even have anything to drink. So talks about tech, gaming, and pop culture. Yeah, he just kind of talks about anything he feels like talking about. That's it. He used to be more about like actually reviewing tech, but that was a long time ago. Rum and Coke, dude. Rum and Coke's nice. That used to be my go-to party drink. Now it'll be rum and Diet Coke. But yeah, whenever I was young in my early 20s, and I go out and party, I would do shots, but my whole drink wasn't a beer; it was a rum and Coke. Now it's a beer because I never know when I got to start pounding water down and sobering up if something happens. And even then, pounding water down doesn't instantly sober you. You still gotta. It's like I need to know like 2 hours ahead of time if I'm gonna end up driving, because you gotta pound down a lot of water to flush your system, go pee multiple times, um, before the booze really, really takes to your blood cells, and then you're just done. Most of the time, I just get a cab, but if something happened, like my kids are sick, and with a babysitter, I won't come home instantly unless I haven't had anything to drink. I'll sober up first, which yes can happen. It just takes a shitload of water. Basically, like IV fluiding yourself. That's how much water you have to take. It's insane. Your girlfriend's a pothead. The only thing I will say about that kind of stuff, just like with booze, you don't want it to take over your life. Some people let that stuff take over their life because they don't like how they feel when they're not on it. And yeah, when I'm on it, it feels great. But if you become reliant on altering your mind to feel great, I don't know that you're ever going to be happy, right? Because you're reliant on a drug enhancement to be there, rather than reliant on creating your own happiness. That's why, like, I could be popping them all day long, but why? Especially if I'm not driving. I'm going to be home all day. I could be popping them, but why? You know, I don't want to be reliant on that to feel good. Like that just Diet Coke. Yeah, Diet Coke. It's kind of like this, like Diet Dr Pepper. I got a can of Diet Dr Pepper here for my caffeine kick. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of Review Tech's live streams anymore. He moved into a different channel, and I honestly don't watch a lot of live streams anyways. Sometimes they'll be on the background while I'm doing homework. Like earlier today, I think Doctor Disrespect was playing Halo, I think, with Tim the Tatman, Z-Laner, and somebody else. I can't remember their names. I don't know. I really wasn't paying that much attention to the stream. I just kind of had it playing lightly in the background while I was doing homework, some programming homework. And it was like, sometimes good just to have some noise. I have ringing in my ears, so like if I ever sit in silence, I get like a headache. So like I always have some sort of noise going on around me usually. You beat cancer? Well, hey man, congrats on beating cancer. That's first and foremost. I don't care how it happened. I don't care if it's chemo. Don't care if it's other medications. Don't care if it was due to a transplant. Dude, like beating cancer. Congrats, man. That's a big deal. Not that like they're unfortunately everyone can't say that they successfully beat cancer. So congrats. That's huge, man. But let's do a shot. Let's do a shot in your honor. I got you. Let's do a shot in your honor. Maybe. Is it not going to let me type it in? I'm trying to do a custom amount. There it is. Let's see if this will go through. Might as well lower it down. I don't know what's left on that. No. My mic is cutting out. Well, I wasn't talking much. Is it still here? Let me bring up the stream. I should probably have this. Anytime I should have the stream up. Test. It looks like it's working. I was probably like getting really quiet. If I get really quiet, sometimes it doesn't pick up. Yeah, for David, man. Cannon blast. Let's go, baby. That's for David. That's on meeting cancer, dude. Knock on wood that it's gone forever. Yeah, it was probably just my voice getting quiet. Whenever I'm like, hey, everyone, how's it going? And then, yeah, you get really quiet, and sometimes it's hard to hear. Because some people like won't crank the volume when they're listening to me because I could be talking like this and maybe you want to listen louder, but all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, baby. And they're like, oh my God, my ears. So some people like to lower the volume and then they can't hear me when it gets really quiet. It's like, oh, you're cutting out. I had the audio monitoring up. I'm definitely not cutting out. So. No problem, Dave, man. Congrats on beating cancer. Let me I'm gonna need another water here to follow this up with because this is not your normal. What proof is this supposed to be? This is supposed to be 35%. So it's supposed to be 70 proof. It is definitely not 70 proof. I had to guess this is probably like 60 proof at this point. Or not 60 proof, sorry, 60%. It is fermented. It's been around for years. There's still probably 2 shots left, maybe. It's been around for a long time, and the seal's been cracked, and it's been fermenting. It's a lot lighter than it used to be. I wasn't sure if it was. So I brought the Cannon Blast to the store because it's clear on the bottom, and I grabbed a new one, and I held it up, and the new ones are so much darker. Oh, my God. This thing is fermented so bad. But it's rum. If it wasn't rum, this was like tequila that fermented or something. I don't know if I can handle it, but it's rum. So, congrats, man, though. Cheers to you. It's like drinking gasoline. Rio, you remember the Cannon Blast? Dude, remember? This was around back on the Splatoon 2 streams in 2018. Remember that? This and the pumpkin spice. Gosh, remember when we had like an 8-bottle lineup or something? This is the last remaining. This is the last remaining from that 8-bottle lineup back then. By the way, the fact that there's some left should let you know how little drinking I really do, especially at home, outside of my live stream. Like this bottle of Malibu. The only reason it might seem like it gets finished fast is because this is a $10 shot, and we get a decent amount of we might get like 3-4 $10 donos a week. So then that's 3-4 shots of this a week. It'll probably go away maybe before the end of the year. But like this is a $25 shot. I think this used to be a $50 one. But yeah. So these tend to last longer. Like this tequila has been around since June. We'll see if this gets finished before the end of the year. These are $100 shots. I think there's probably 4 tequila shots left. And the only reason it's this low is because I did not expect during E3. We got a shitload of $100 donations during E3. Totally unexpected. I was not. It was, wow. I was not expecting it. That's all I can say. I was not expecting it. But yeah, I literally I don't drink much outside of my stream. I enjoy it, by the way. It's just when I drink, like I'll have correction. I'll have an occasional beer. Like if I'm at a family event at my parents' house or something, I'll have a beer, maybe 2. And it's just a light beer. I don't do anything strong, so it's I really don't drink that much. Because when I drink, here's why I don't. I like to party. So if I'm gonna drink, I want to get buzzed. And if I'm gonna get buzzed, I have to drink a lot. And if I'm gonna drink a lot, I don't want to do it alone. See, the reason I can do it on a live stream is I have an entire audience watching, and some of you guys I know do shots and drinks with me. I've seen a number of people in the chat say, "Hey, I just did a shot with you," or "Hey, I poured a drink for myself, to have it with you." Some people say that at the very beginning of the stream because they already know that we do drinks on stream. Um, there had been a thought that I had about on the podcast about having just a I want to order a Nintendo Prime pint glass. I do have them available somewhere. I'm not going to share it yet because I got to get one in. And I thought about doing having beer every podcast, just a glass of beer, as like a casual drink. Just like I'm at my parents' house chilling. But yeah, um, so I never feel like on my streams that I'm truly drinking alone. Although I'm not sure if anyone else tonight had a drink or a shot, and that's fine if you didn't. I'm not here to judge you. Booze can be the devil for a lot of people, so it just happens to not be for me. Luckily. Later, Gavin. Have a good night, man. Used to be Crown Royale was the only available in Canada. I occasionally read people claim that it's hard to find then in the US, but I see them all. Yeah, dude, Crown Royale's all over the US now. I don't know about back in the day, but I probably didn't have my first shot of Crown Royale until like 8 years ago at a bar. So, you do the shots. I'll stick with the Mary Jane. And I also don't usually mix. Like if I do an edible, I won't have booze. I don't like to mix. Some people can mix and be fine. I've never done it, so I don't really know how I'd react. So, I'm sure there'll be some day. Like tomorrow, I don't have the kids. Tomorrow, at some point, my mom is taking our children. They're going to be decorating the tree at her house for Christmas, and they're going to be spending the night. I hope I can get Yulia not to be mad at me by then. We'll see. I did not underage drink. The only thing that ever happened underage was I had a sip of beer when I was like 10 that my dad gave me because I was curious and there was a party at the house and he had some and he said, "Here you go." And then I immediately spit it out. That was the grossest thing I ever tasted. Now I was at a couple high school parties that had booze at where people gave me the red Solo cup. And basically when people weren't looking, I kept dumping it in the plant. And then I would like go to the bathroom eventually and dump the rest out. So yeah, I didn't do it. I literally never had a full drink or ever got drunk until I turned 21. And then the only reason I got drunk when I was 21 wasn't because I was just legal to do it, because there was a birthday party at my parents' house and they bought me a 1.75 of UV Red and a 24 pack of Mountain Dew. Now, I had never drank before. I knew that people like to mix UV Red with Mountain Dew. It can create like a Code Red kind of flavor. So I knew that people like to mix them. I didn't know what you were supposed to mix or the amount you were supposed to mix. I had no idea because I had never had a mixed drink really. So that my parents said, "Hey, if you're gonna drink, why don't you just spend the night here?" So I went to my old bedroom and at like because my birthday is on July 5th, we did a celebration on July 4th. I didn't have a drink until midnight because I was a goody two shoe and wait until I was actually 21. And then I did my first drink. I sat out by the fire at like 12:15 in the morning with my parents. And then I said, "Hey, I'm going to go play some games and do some drinks in my room by myself or whatever." So I went to the room and I finished off the entire bottle and all 24 cans of Mountain Dew in like 3 hours. And I felt fantastic. I had chronic knee pain back then. I had chronic ankle pain. And I felt amazing. I felt like I was on top of the freaking world. And when I went to sleep, my parents had their hangover cure ready because they thought that I was just going to be so hungover. And I woke up and I was still drunk, not hungover yet, at like noon. And I wait and I have some water and I eat lunch or whatever. And then I finally decided to go back to my apartment. And I was fine. I drove fine. I mean, maybe in theory I probably shouldn't have, but I guess my parents weren't even concerned because I guess I looked and sounded normal and wasn't slurring words or whatever. And that night I'm like, man, that felt great. I'm going to actually go out. It's still my 21st birthday. I'm actually going to go out to the bar. And then I found out how fun bars can be. So been kind of drinking ever since then. But so you can blame my parents, I suppose. They're the ones that bought me my first ever bottle of booze. But I handle liquor really, really well. Not everybody does. My dad can't drink anymore. It makes him get angry. Um, so like everyone's different. How your bodies react to booze is different. I happen to be just really fun. So, um, legend, yeah, dude. That was a lot of booze. A 1.7, even of UV Red, right, which isn't like the most potent booze. A 1.75 in 3 hours with that much Mountain Dew. It was insane. I was just downing it like it was the greatest thing I ever tasted in my life. I remember making a game. I was like playing Wind Waker, and like every time I played a song in the game or changed the direction of the wind, I would like chug half a glass. It was, oh my god. It was insane. And I didn't talk to anybody. I wasn't calling or texting my friends. Nothing. I just sat there by myself in a room playing Wind Waker. Just getting hammered. And nobody knew what the hell was going. Um Being drunk and I'm a lot of pain, yeah. Later, Donna. Have a good night. No arthritis pain. And I do have some arthritis now, so yeah. Like drinks and obviously edibles and stuff like that really help with that stuff. But again, it's not so bad that I can't like get through my day or like I complain about it. It's just kind of it's there. It's part of getting older. Drinking and playing Rock Band with friends is really fun. Yeah, I've never done that. Yeah, Wind Waker, man. That's why Wind Waker. I had my GameCube in there because that was like the one system I didn't bring to my new apartment. And like I had other games to play for the GameCube, but like I don't know why Wind Waker was just the game I felt like playing because I'm a big Zelda guy and I'd beaten Wind Waker a dozen times. I don't know why I started a new file and just I guess wanted to see. I think when I started it, I wanted to see how far I could get by the time I emptied the bottle. It's like I knew ahead of time I was going to empty that bottle, and I wanted to see how far in the game I got. And to this day, I don't remember how far I got because I passed out. So maybe I blacked out. Maybe that's a better. I don't know because I don't remember. So probably blacked out or passed out or both. That was a lot of booze. Like, and I can handle a lot of liquor, but like an entire 1.75, I don't even do that. Like I might mix alcohols, which a lot of people can't handle mixing alcohols because it really upsets their stomach. Not for me. I can have vodka. I can have Everclear, which I could have tequila. I could have Jack. I could have rum. I could mix all the boozes. I don't really get sick from that. I got I guess what you would say an iron stomach that way. But it's the amount. 1.75 is a lot for anybody. For anybody. I was just 21. You're medically retired? Nice. I mean, not nice, because I guess you wouldn't want to be medically retired, right? Like, you'd probably rather have nothing wrong. I mean, I wouldn't know. I've never been medically retired, so, um, because obviously if I was medically retired, I'd be retired. I mean, I could still do YouTube, of course, but yeah, hopefully the reason that you're medically retired isn't really hard. Play Forza Horizon drunk. That shit is fun as hell. Best reviews Need for Speed drunk. Yeah, dude, Forza Horizon 5. I have that on Xbox Series S. I bet you that's insane while drunk. Dude, games in general are fun while drunk. I should play some Age of Empires 4 while drunk. I've been playing a lot of AoE 4 lately when I have time, and it's been a lot of fun. Like I'll turn in an assignment, then I'll play AoE 4 for like a half hour. Then I'll like pause the game, Alt Tab, go back to my work, then do my job, come back to it later. Sometimes it's weird when I come back to it later because I don't remember what I was doing when I paused. Because usually a full match of if I play multiplayer online, obviously you can't just pause. So that can usually take an hour to an hour and a half, depending, unless I just quit. If you do the campaign, obviously you can pause anytime you want. But then I don't always remember what I'm doing when I come back. Forza's fun, yeah. Entry level jobs require tenure. Dude, isn't that insane? So like when I finish college and I try to get a different job, assuming that YouTube isn't, to a point that I could just say, screw it, I'm gonna do YouTube. But when I graduate college, it's going to be insane because everywhere needs at least 3 years. Most want 5, some want 10. Like Eric has the same degree that I'm going to get, and he hasn't been able to find a job in the field in like 4 years. Because they won't even consider him. Because he doesn't have the requisite experience. Even though he comes cheap. It's crazy. So it's like, even when I graduate college, there's no guarantee I'm ever going to actually do that job. I happen to have an okay job now. It's not great. I would like to make more. And it's like that's another reason why it'd be cool if one day YouTube was my just career. If I could actually support my family and YouTube was always growing for me. Because then, I could get to a point where it's comfortable, where I could buy a house. And I'm not even talking about a mansion. Just like as an example, I have a dream anyways. My dream is I want to build my own home. I understand for some people it's like, what, you want to build a house? Like in Wisconsin, it's very common to build your own house. You have a lot of space. So I have this dream of wanting to build like my dream home. And my dream home isn't like some $5 million mansion or something crazy, right? Um, but yeah, it's something in the back of my mind that it would be really cool if YouTube got to the point that I could be in that situation where I have all the money set aside for retirement I need, where everything's taken care of. I could buy a house, then the nicer cars, make sure my kids never need to go in debt like I am for college. Like, just being able to pay off college debt with YouTube would be fantastic. I mean, I'm going to be like 70 grand in debt by the time I graduate from college. Like, it would be sweet if YouTube could just, I'm making enough on YouTube that I could live and pay off my debt. That alone would be a relief. Computer programming. It's got a longer name because there's a bunch of different computer programming degrees, but I'll just say it's a computer programming degree. Can't remember. Do I have a PlayStation 5? I used to. Have a PlayStation 5. I sold it due to some money issues last year, or actually really early this year. I don't have those issues now, but we'll see if I get another one. I didn't play the remastered Spider-Man, but I did beat Miles Morales. I had a lot of fun with Miles Morales. And I've never played the first Spider-Man game, so I do want to play it. So it's one of those. If I get a PlayStation 5 again, which I plan to at some point next year, I'm definitely going to be playing the original Spider-Man game. And I say original, there's been ones before, but I mean of the new series. Unless you do something super specific, they care more that you have a degree than what the degree is. Yeah, that's true too. Like Eric's job right now, he just does like tech support, and like it helped that he had the degree, even though the degree had really nothing to do with what he does. Like he doesn't do programming at his job. Like he could have did this job without it, but having the degree obviously made them be like, well, he clearly knows stuff because he had. I've done tech support and don't have a degree, so it's like, but I also have experience to put on my resume for tech support, so that's also like I could do Eric's job. Is basically what I'm saying. Not that I'd want to. His job requires a lot of travel out of the state, and since I have kids, I'm not so sure I'd want to do that. Not much in political science yet. Isn't that crazy, man? You go all the way and get the PhD, and then you can't even do anything. I mean, you could be a professor. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I have a PhD in history. It's like, okay, so what did you do with that job? I became a teacher. So that's like one of the few jobs you can get with a PhD in history. It's like, and that doesn't mean history is not important, but it's also I mean, you maybe working at the History Channel. I don't know, like, well, it's hard to imagine the amount of career opportunities. Maybe I'd be surprised. Maybe there is a lot of career opportunities for that degree. I guess I wouldn't know. I've never actually done the research. I just imagine there can be a lot. You do accounting work, and your degree is in religion and counseling. Isn't that crazy? We get degrees in things that we don't even do. We don't even use. It is cool to have the degree and be proud of yourself for completing it. That's definitely important. Just being proud that you did it, because it is an accomplishment. Even if it's never used, you can say you're a college graduate, and that's really cool. Like that's like you get a degree, you can put it on the wall, and you be, I did this, even if it's never used. I did this. I completed extra schooling that was not required, and I did it. Maybe I end up not doing it for like when I graduate with my degree. Maybe I never become a computer programmer. Maybe I end up being a YouTuber the rest of my life. Maybe I end up working at a factory. Maybe I end up doing one of a billion jobs that aren't related to programming. And that's okay. But if I graduate, I can at least look at myself and say, I'm proud of myself. Took me till I was in my mid-30s, but I finally graduated, and I'm a college graduate. And that just has a mental impact on me, being able to mentally know I did it. I did it the hard way, but I did it. You need to invest in whatever you feel comfortable in dollar cost averaging. By the time you're 55, 60, you'll have millions. Yeah, so I can tell you guys right now, I have a little bit in retirement, but not much. Like, I don't even think I could live a year off it. So I'm in my mid-30s and I'm not set up very well. Right now, at the rate I'm going, I will be basically working till I die. Um, and that sucks to think about. That might not always be the case. I'm hoping by the time I'm 60, 65, that I could actually retire and have the money to do it. And set aside, whether it's through investments, 401ks, or whatever it is. I don't have the money to invest at the moment, really, but that could change. And again, if I was honest with you guys, my dream. I mean, when people ask me, hey, what's your dream? It sounds really weird to say in your mid-30s. My dream is to be a YouTuber full time because I enjoy it. And who doesn't want to do something they enjoy for a living? I enjoy doing this. I enjoy these live streams. I enjoy the videos I make for the most part. I enjoy talking with you guys. If I could do something I enjoy for a living, I could turn a hobby into a living. Man, who won? Well, like, whether or not it ever gets there, I don't know. I mean, the kind of money my channel makes now, if I was like 18, 19, sure, I could live off it in Wisconsin. I could get a little studio apartment somewhere and live off the money this channel makes if I was like 18, 19, 20. But like in my mid 30s with 3 children and like getting married next year, this isn't necessarily even close to supporting that size of a family. So even in Wisconsin, so it's like, there's a massive threshold that has to be crossed before I could really consider this for a living. And it's probably, I mean, I don't even know what it is because Yulia works too. So it doesn't need to be like, oh man, I need to make 150K a year. Like, no. But I mean, it's probably in the 50, 60, 70K range before I could be like, okay. In Wisconsin, I could realistically live off that, especially if I could see a path where the channel can keep growing and we can keep adding on to that. Because eventually I want to hire people too. Like my goal would be not only do this full time, but be able to hire others to help me with the content, make that even better, make more of it. Maybe have multiple YouTube channels, which technically we have multiple right now because we have a podcast channel. So, but that's like a dream, and it's okay to have dreams. It's a dream that I would say is maybe more realistic for me than others because I've already been a little bit successful on YouTube. I can't say I'm not. It's not like the money made on this channel is something you just ignore. No one can ignore making over 10 grand doing something. Like that's not a small chunk of change for a lot of people. So like it's not like it's money I can ignore, but it's not after taxes and obviously we have the giveaways we do. I mean, there's like nothing left right now, which is fine because I chose it to be that way. I could stop doing giveaways and just pocket the money. It's fine. I don't think anyone would even be bothered if I did that. But I'm just reinvesting in the channel and reinvesting in you guys, and maybe it pays off someday, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? At least I'm helping out people along the way. That's the one thing I feel nice about with all the donations that you guys give me, and then I start to give back to you guys with all the giveaways and everything. Is look, even if the channel never gets to where I would like it to be, hey, at least along the journey, I made people smile. And I'm cool with that. I can walk away from YouTube one day if it never ends up getting to where I want it to be and know, hey, you know what? At least along the journey, we did our best to help as many people as we could. Hopefully soon I plan to start working on learning to video edit. Cool, man. Yeah, I'm not like a great video editor. I can do more. Okay, I can do fancier edits than you see in my videos. So I'm more capable than my videos might suggest. But I have a simplicity to the way I approach my videos at the moment that allows me to get them done in a timely manner. I can do fancier stuff. I just, between school and everything else, I just can't. Now, if I'm doing this full time, then I mean, I could actually record like half of my video the night before. If there's any additional stories in the morning, spend like a half hour recording those stories, and then spend 4 or 5 hours editing the video and making a really fancy, compelling product by 11 o'clock. Something I could do, but I don't do this full time. So, and I don't know if we'll ever get to that point. We'll see. You should do a live show at Miller Park. It's hard to do live shows at stadiums. It's hard to do live shows at stadiums. There's a lot of people. So the internet connection is not great. Being a good person. I try to be a good person. I don't think I'm like the greatest out there. But I try to be a decent person. I try. My dream was to be sexy. Apparently, I didn't turn out that way. I mean, I have a dream with my weight loss to eventually get into even better shape than I was in high school. We'll see. I'm not giving up on that dream yet, but we'll see. It's a lot harder now than it was, 15 years ago. Um, the DualSense is basically a Wii remote or a Wii U gamepad, but without the screen and more rumble. Wow. What? I'm. Is that like supposed to be an insult? Oh, it wasn't a WoW experience for you. It was just HD Rumble 2. So, okay, so I can speak to this because I had a PlayStation 5. I will say a majority of games I played on PlayStation 5, the features didn't matter of the controller. The triggers, the enhanced rumble, none of it really mattered to me. It didn't feel like it enhanced most of the games I played. However, one experience that comes packed in is Astro's Playroom. And in that particular game, which is a glorified controller demo, yeah, it did some things prior controllers couldn't. Maybe not from a gameplay perspective, because yeah, you could do all this stuff without those fancy features, but it felt different. It felt like something I've never experienced quite that way. The fact that you're running with Astro Boy or Astrobot or whatever his name is, and you're running across sand, and you're running across glass, and you're running across metal, and I could not only hear the difference but feel it. It's like a total sensation of sound and feel that I could tell if I was running in sand, running on glass, running on wood, running on metal. I could tell. That to me was like not a mind-blowing experience, but like I could see the possibilities. Unfortunately, most of the other games I experienced on PlayStation, including Returnal, including Spider-Man, didn't really give you that same feeling. So it's like I would say like the gamepad more than the Wiimote, because the Wiimote motion controls fundamentally made certain games just pop. Whether it was Wii Sports, whether it was Wii Fit, whether it was even Red Steel 2 was really good because of the motion controls. I thought Skyward Sword was really good because of the motion controls. So there were things with the motion controls that you did that you just weren't doing before them. But I like the DualSense more to the Wii U gamepad in that it's a neat idea to like hit a golf ball off, look down at the bottom, see a golf pad, grab a Wiimote, and hit a golf ball off that, and then watch it fly on your screen like a virtual golfing. There's a lot of neat ideas that could be done, but none of it really played out that way. And all that really happened with the Wii U gamepad is it became either something you use to play off TV, which led to obviously the Switch, or it became something that you just manage your inventory on, which was convenient but not necessary. Like I liked being able to manage like the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess inventory right on the gamepad. That's great, but also it could have just been a menu. Like it's not like it's breaking immersion for it to be a menu in the game, because to manage your inventory, I have to look down at the screen. So if I have to look down at the screen, I'm already broke my immersion with the TV. There was one game, and again, this is kind of like Astro's Playroom. Astro's Playroom is that game that made me feel like there was more possibilities. Zombie U was the one game on Switch that made me go, oh, this gamepad is giving me a gameplay experience I never had before. Unfortunately, that was like the only game that did that. And it wasn't even Nintendo's game. So it's kind of like the same thing with the DualSense, where it's like this game it comes with does a really great job showing the possibilities and making your mind wonder. But then when you play other games, it's like, yeah, you can feel the resistance on the triggers, but like none of it actually feels necessary. Whereas when you played Astro Boy, it felt a bit necessary in that experience. So yeah. So I liken it more to like the Wii U gamepad, where like there was like one proving game, but most of the games didn't take advantage of it. And I think that's basically the same thing here. And then you have Xbox that says, you know what, we're not worried about that. We're just going to take a traditional controller and try to provide you the best traditional controller experience we can. And I happen to like, I got two Xbox Series controllers, and I still have some Xbox One controllers. And yeah, the Xbox Series controllers to me feel a little better. But I mean, they're fundamentally the same controller, but they do feel a little better. They feel a bit more premium. Whether or not they are, I don't know. It could just be a fit and finish thing rather than actually being more premium. But they feel nice. Xbox is like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Nintendo's like, hey, we want to do something crazy every time. And PlayStation's like, hey, we want to see if we can enhance what's already there. And I give them credit for trying. And I think maybe the resistance on the triggers might be the biggest thing some people will notice, because when you play like Call of Duty or other shooter games, like you can feel that resistance that used to not be there. But there was already like third-party controllers that added like modifiers to the triggers to give you resistance. So like it's not even a new idea. It just was never there with the included controllers. It was always third-party controllers that had trigger resistance. So yeah, I don't know. Not revolutionary, but I saw in playing the included game the possibilities. And then as I played Sackboy, as I played Miles Morales, as I played Returnal, it started becoming obvious to me that like possibilities are possibilities for a reason. They're neat ideas that could increase immersion that most people aren't going to take advantage of, or most developers won't take advantage of, or won't take advantage of in a way that feels intuitive and natural. I talked about this before with HD Rumble too. Like HD Rumble, when you play 1-2 switch, HD Rumble feels different, man. You can feel the individual ice cubes in that mini game in 1-2 switch. You can feel the turning of the dial when you're doing the safe game with that controller. Like the HD Rumble, if the first thing you experience with Nintendo Switch and HD Rumble with the Joy-Cons is 1-2 switch on a TV, like, my lord, it feels like there's this crazy technology that's never existed before. Then you play other games and realize nobody does anything with it. Like I talked about at the time when I played 1-2 switch, like how crazy it would be if like a future Zelda game, not Breath of the Wild because it's made for Wii U, but say Breath of the Wild 2 would implement some of these crazy HD Rumble features, and I could tell when I was running on sand, or I could feel water kind of running down the controller, and I'd have to look down and wonder if I spilt something on it while I'm swimming in Zelda. Like, how cool would that be? And here we are 5 years in, and none of that happened. It's like there was this cool idea that developers didn't really take advantage of. There are a couple indie games, by the way, that do use HD Rumble and do use the PlayStation controller really well. PlayStation 5. So like there are some indies that are really digging into it, but most gamers are, I would say, 5 years from now at PlayStation 5 aren't going to notice much with the controller. Elden Ring might just do something new. I haven't played any of Elden Ring's beta or anything, so I have no idea what's up with that game. Let's see here. $100 Pro controller. Oh, are you talking about the Power A one? I like everything about the Power A Pro controller. I think it's better than the Nintendo Switch controller in every way. But it's missing one thing that I didn't think I'd care about, but I guess I do. It's better sticks. It's got a better fit and finish. It's got more functionality in terms of your controls. But no rumble. And I don't understand. This is like a common issue with Power A controllers. Why don't they even have basic rumble? Like, I want more. Like, I would rather have HD rumble, but I understand if they can't get permission from Nintendo to use the HD rumble motors. But even basic rumble, like, you're spending $100 on a premium controller. You shouldn't be sacrificing feature set. It should be everything the normal controller does plus additional features. Instead, it's missing like a key feature that I didn't think I'd care about. But hey, there are some games that I'm so used to feeling rumble on that I didn't even realize it. And then when you play it with that controller, you're like, oh, this doesn't feel quite the same. It's not like it ruins the experience, but it's also like rumble's been around for so long that I just kind of got used to it, right? It's like a feature. Basic rumble is like a feature you take for granted. Like, it's there, but you don't think about it. And then when you don't have it, suddenly it's like, oh, that's a little noticeable that I don't have that anymore. Still a superior controller in almost every way, but like at least basic, like the basic rumble motors, the very cheap ones are like literally like 3 cents per motor. They could have put a couple of those in. So I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. But otherwise, I think the controller itself is designed really well. I think the paddles on the back that are optional are great. I think the fit and finish, it basically feels like I'm holding an Xbox Series X controller in a sense. It's just missing a key feature that I don't understand why, because there's no patents preventing them from putting basic rumble in the controller. You know? It's more comfortable too. Yeah. It's a very nice control. I love everything about it, but it's also, damn, why? Why? Like, you hold that controller, the PowerA Pro controller, and then you hold a normal Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and you go, I mean, God, the Nintendo Switch Pro controller feels like a freaking Fisher Price toy in comparison. Like, it's just they're on two different like levels of fit and finish. Then you don't have one of the basic features, and it's just, again, I didn't expect HD Rumble because that's Nintendo's patent. But other third-party controllers for Switch have basic Rumble. PowerA just like doesn't do that. And I don't know. I don't know. I would have liked to see that. But if you don't care about Rumble or you're always turning off Rumble features, I mean, it's amazing. It's probably the best controller for Switch. Pokemon Sword and Shield use. I wouldn't know. I didn't play Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's $100 for 2 gimmicks, removable faceplates, and paddles. I think reducing it down to removable faceplates and paddles is a little. I would say a little disingenuous. I would say this. I don't think it's a controller that's worth spending $100 on. So if the Pro controller is 60, 70, well, I think it's 60 now in most places. I would say this is probably closer to a $70, $80 controller. And not just because of the removable faceplates and the paddles, which obviously are selling points. There's also the fit and finish, the feel, and using better components. So I would say it is a premium controller compared to the original Switch Pro controller. So yeah, it's not going to offer you necessarily more features beyond the faceplates and the paddles, but it has better sticks, it has better buttons, it has a better fit and finish. So there's more to it. I just don't know if that's $100, especially when it's missing Rumble. If it had Rumble in, maybe I'd start to say, all right, well, maybe. It has everything else. I think it even has motion controls. I don't remember. We gave it away during E3, so it's been a long time since I've used it. But I think it had motion controls. I remember the motion controls feeling just fine, like playing Splatoon, and it felt just like using a Pro controller. So the gyroscope felt fine. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it doesn't. I'm pretty sure it does, though. God, it's been 5 months since I touched it. It's been over-engineered for those two things. You have to pay for that and fancy make. I mean, that's your opinion. All I know is if you hold that controller, then you hold a Pro controller, it feels different. That's all. So in your opinion, that's all it is. But I think the fit and finish, if you actually take it apart and compare the sticks inside the Pro controller and the sticks inside this, these are better sticks. So they are actually using better components. It's just, is it really worth the money? Is that better component so much better that it's worth it? I don't know. I think it had swappable sticks too, didn't it? Pretty sure it had swappable sticks. Could be wrong about that. I remember there being extra sticks in there. So I think it had swappable sticks too. So we can't forget that function too. That you could change the kind of stick you're using to a taller one, a shorter one, concave, convex. But again, I don't work for the company. I don't make no money if you guys buy anything. I don't have no affiliate links up. I really like the controller. $100 is a bit steep though, for what it does. Again, more like a $70, $80 controller. Maybe the lack of basic Rumble to me is still kind of one of those. Man, it's hard to suggest something that's lacking such a basic feature that's been around since like the 90s. Max to be 60. See, how's that? I don't agree that max should be 60 because I don't think it should be the same price as the Pro controller. So you have to consider the Nintendo Switch Pro controller used to be $70. Now it's like 60 most retailers. So if the Nintendo Switch Pro controller is 60, and I think this controller is better, offers more functionality, and has a better finish and more premium parts, then I don't think it should be the same price as the Pro controller. I think you need to add that 10, 20 bucks on top. 40 bucks? Ugh. It's a bit much. Now that's just my personal opinion. Of course, you're free to think the Pro controller is overpriced, which some people think that too. So maybe you think this should be 60 and the Pro controller should be 30. I have no idea. Yeah, the long cable it comes with was nice if I remember right. God, it's been a long time. I probably should buy one. I don't know. I probably won't buy one until the price is down. for myself to keep. 57 for the Fusion Pro. Nice. Nice. Must have got some cool discounts. Good for you, man. No, it's not wired only. It's wireless. It's wireless. It's a fully wireless controller. It comes with a really long cord, if I remember right. But yeah, no, it's not. It's not fully. It's not wired only. There are cheap PowerA controllers that are wired only. There's cheap PowerA controllers that are, I mean, the PowerA is officially licensed by Nintendo. That's why I was curious wondering if they could have got the HD Rumble tech, but they just never tried. Because they are partnered with Nintendo. They're an official partner of Nintendo. That's why you see them with all the themed controllers, the Donkey Kong, the Metroid. Is it officially called the Fusion Pro Wireless? I thought it was just called Fusion Pro, but I don't know. Again, I haven't really looked at it seriously since back during E3 when we gave one away. So, and I used it for like 2 weeks. It was. I used it during our E3 streams too. And it was nice. I miss it in some ways, but maybe it's because I play more Xbox with a standard controller. I'm using Joy-Cons a lot with Switch now. So like maybe it's just that the fact that I don't like the way the Switch Pro controller feels compared to the Xbox controllers, that I prefer to have the Fusion controller. But so there could be a little bias coming in because I just really like the Xbox Series controller in comparison to the Switch Pro controller. Just how it feels, personal preferences. I love it. Thanks, Nate. No problem, man. I don't know what you're thanking me for, but the Pro Controller is a way better controller than the Wii U Pro. I'm not going to get into that debate. I think they both feel a little cheap. I like the finish on the Pro Controller compared to it because if I remember, the Wii U Pro Controller was just a fingerprint magnet. Too much gloss. You paid $99. Yeah, that's the base MSRP orange mushroom for that controller. Did you feel like it was worthwhile for you? That's that I liked it. I don't know that I would spend $100 personally. I'd spend $100 to give it away to somebody, but I don't know that I would spend $100 for myself for it. Do I remember how much N64? No, I don't. I didn't buy them back then. My parents bought them, or I got them as like Christmas presents. I have no idea what the N64 controllers used to cost. I gotta remember N64 came out when I was like, let's see, N64 came out in what, 96? I would have been 10. So like I was like going from 10 into early teen years through most of the N64 era. So it wasn't like I had my own money. I mean, I had allowance and stuff I did for chores, but it wasn't enough to even buy a game. So let alone a controller. Series controllers. The series controller isn't like some revolutionary thing. You're just fine using an Xbox One controller. Right? It's just, it's little tweaks. They did little tweaks. That's all. I like it. Microsoft's approach is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that kind of approach. Now, I don't know what their Elite Series 2 is like compared to the original Elite. I've heard some people really like the Elite Series 2, but I never owned. I have tried out the Elite Series 1 and the Elite Series 2, but both of them were in controlled environments by Microsoft in LA. So, in controlled environments is a lot different than having the controller for yourself at your house. So yeah, to me, the Elite version 2 felt better than the Elite version 1, but again, a controlled environment by Microsoft. It's hard to really get definitive opinions in a controlled environment. Because you have to recognize that the final product that comes out might not be that, But you do spend a lot of money for those Xbox controllers, those Elite ones. I mean, it ain't cheap. You can get entire systems for the cost of those. So, well, they must sell well enough. People must buy them enough. It does have solder points. Ooh, it would that would be really interesting if the Pro controller has the capability for motors and they just didn't put it in to cut costs. Like if it's there on the board, it's not software disabled. They just don't have them installed. That would be really interesting to find out if because then that would make you think. At the prototyping stage, at one point, it had rumble motors, and then you have to ask yourself, why did they get rid of the rumble motors? I mean, yeah, you say cut costs, but it would be an extra feature they could put on the box for really cheap. So why cut costs there? Interesting. Especially if you solder to it and it works. It's like, okay, well, clearly at some point in prototyping they had them. But we'll see. 2 grip controller for handheld for Switch because to hell with the Joy-Con. You mentioned the GameCube's anniversary earlier this week. What about the Wii? It turns 15 today. Did it turn 15 today? No, I don't think 15 is a notable year. So, like, it's 15. That's cool. Like, when I was 15, that wasn't notable to me. So, all it does is remind you that I'm old. Or remind me that Wii is 15? Oh, shit, man. That was 3 gens ago. And GameCube felt the same way. Like, 20 years ago? I mean, Zelda. I'm as old as the Zelda series. So, like, 35th anniversary. Okay, I turned 35 this year. So, getting old, man. Man, the Zelda turned 50. That means I'm 50. Shit. I can't believe it's been in 50 years. I wonder if I'll still be doing live streams in 15 years on this channel, doing shots with you guys at 50, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Zelda. I sincerely wonder if I'll still be doing this in 15 years, We'll have to see. You'll try it and hit me up on Twitter. Sweet. Hey, if it does, let me know. I mean, that might even be worthy of mentioning in a video. Or maybe even buying one myself and trying to make a video out of it. Like putting my own rumble motors in. You old, brah. Thanks. I will say, I'm 35. 35 doesn't feel as old to me as it once did. It used to feel a lot older. Nowadays, I don't know that I feel really old. I know that I want to lose weight, and I am on a weight loss kick, but I don't know. I want to get close to the best shape of my life by the time I'm 40. So, but I don't know that I like. A lot of people that say you're old, man, are like people that are really young. Like I could say right now in my early 20s, you're an adult, but how I behaved and acted back in my like age 19 to say 23, compared to how I behave and act now, I was still very much a kid. I mean, yeah, you're legally an adult and more responsibilities, and also, I was still an immature kid. No, not everyone's that way. People mature at different rates, but I'm a lot different now. I still hold on to some of that stuff, right? I still like to party. I still like to do some crazy things. You guys see the energy I bring on my videos. But like, it's not like I'm walking around all day a big bubble of energy. Like, no. I could feel my age. It's harder to wake up. Hurts more when I go to sleep. Don't have the same energy. Like, I have all this energy in my videos, and that might be the most energy I have for the whole day. Like, it's I definitely can tell that I'm older, but it's not like I feel old. Like, I don't wake up, look in the mirror, and go, man, I'm old. No, I might wake up, go in the mirror, and go, man, I'm fat. I'll say that. But that's me motivating myself to be like, stick to your diet, stick to your workout, remember to go on your walk today, etc. Like, that's more of a motivating, man. If I feel that way, I don't like feeling that way, fuck it. Let's go on a walk. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's make sure we don't cheat the diet. Let's, etc. Wait till you approach 52. Yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping that even if I don't get in the best shape of my life, if I get back to my ideal weight by the time I'm 40, and I keep it that way, I feel like potentially I might feel a little better at 50 than I do now. Maybe. Because there's less pressure on my joints. But that doesn't mean there won't be other issues, right? So. 27 is when the brain should be fully developed. I don't know. I remember seeing something that guys are still their brain and even their body is still developing a little until they're about 25 or so. As something I read, but I don't know if that's actually true. What I do know, this is a really cool thing. I don't know how many of you guys know this. They figured out why we age, and they figured out a way to stop it. whatever age you're at, it's in testing right now, but they figured out how to stop your aging process at the age you're at. So I'm at 35. They could stop me and I'll be 35 forever. My brain won't age, my skin cells won't age, my blood won't age, nothing will age. I'll just stay this way forever. That doesn't mean I can't lose weight and stuff like that, but I mean, the aging process stops. They figured it out. However, right now, the caveat here is it's not been in human trials yet. They have it in mice at the moment. They have successfully stopped mice from eating. Now, if it ever in my lifetime gets to human trials, that'll be interesting. Also, if it gets to human trials, I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing that people never die, like naturally. You know, is that a good thing? Like, if I can be 35 forever, that sounds great. But also, is it a good thing? The world's already kind of overpopulated to continue to just overpopulate and people don't die. Like, I like the idea. Like, there's a thought in my head that, you know what? I don't want the whole world to live forever, but if I could take like my children at like a certain age, say 25, me and my fiance stop aging, and we could all live happily ever after and live forever. There's something about that has an appeal to it. But I mean, by the time this is available in humans, even on like a very small scale that's only available to the super ultra rich, I'll probably be 80 before there's even an attempt to do this on humans. But yeah, they figured it out. Now, by the way, they've known why we age for a long time. So how our cells age and cause our body, our brains, and everything else to age. They've actually known that for a while. What they didn't know was how to stop it. And they have now successfully stopped it in mice. So it's when does it go from that to humans? And then what is the use case? Because it doesn't feel like it's something that should be widely available, but then should it only be the super rich? That doesn't feel right. So I don't know. It's crazy, dude. Science is coming a long way, man. It's coming a long way. And obviously, right now, a big thing is that we stop the aging in mice. Is there any long-term effects of stopping the aging process? Like, okay, the aging process is stopped. So is there any negative effect of stopping the aging process? That's another thing they have to monitor now. Like, okay, so your cells don't age anymore. They keep reproducing at the same way they are now. Like, they stop the aging process. Our cells do reproduce, and the reproduced cells are also, by the way, this is the crazy thing. They stop the aging process with current cells, and when your body makes new ones, those ones replicate the old ones, and they don't age either. So is there a negative to this besides overpopulation? I don't know. There is something appealing about the idea that you're never going to die. But I don't know. It's crazy, man. Science is doing great. Like, this is some science fiction shit, man. Science is going a long way. So it's crazy, man. Like, the idea of stopping aging feels like a God moment. It's like, I don't want to get religious on you guys. It's like, hand of God, we stopped aging. Like, Jesus. All right. I'm all for scientific advancement, so I want them to continue to figure it out. I'm just trying to think about like what the use case would be, where it would be okay for somebody to live forever. In theory, they can still die. By the way, they're still human. They can still get sick. They can still get cancer. They can still, they can still have things happen to it. So it's not like death goes away entirely. You still can die. Like, when do we actually attempt human trials? There'd be people probably willing to sign up for the human trials for it. That's for sure. They have to stop it. Yeah, like there'd have to be laws around babies. Because like the world would just, we'll go from 8 billion to freaking 13, 14, 15, 20 billion in like 10 years. It'd be insane. But I don't know. It's a very interesting thought to think about, Now, if we were populating other planets, maybe then, it's not as big a deal, but we're not to the point. Like, I know Elon Musk has this long idea that by the time he dies, he would like to have a colony built on Mars or something. But Yeah, I don't know. It's a crazy thought to think that science is like that dangerously close, to doing something that used to only be in science fiction. But we'll see what happens. It's just something, and this isn't like some bullshit clickbait article. Like these were scientific research papers that I was reading. So like this is stuff that's legitimately happening. It's just, and by the way, because we figured out how to stop it in mice, is that transferable to humans? Like, will the DNA react the same way? You know, how much alterations need to be for it to stop human cell degeneration? Because the biggest thing is you don't want to just stop the body from aging; you got to stop the brain. So the body stops from aging, but the brain ages. You're still gonna die. But they stopped everything. These mice, their brains, their bodies, their skin, nothing's aging. They just literally stay the same age. Like they have a mouse that's like, God, 2 months old, and it's been 2 months old for like 3 years. It's never grown up, never gotten any bigger. It's had no degeneration, no negative effects yet. So it's interesting. It's just interesting to see what science is doing. I like science. It can be a little scary sometimes, and this could be on the scary side, but it's interesting. Um, yeah, it's funny. Science is behind. It's like we have this scientific advancement, but then like other issues we want science to fix, they're not fixing. Right now, as an example, someone brought up climate change. I'll say this: I don't think science needs to fix climate change. I don't want to get like too political on this topic, but I'll say the technologies and everything that need to be done to fix climate change already exists. Science doesn't have to do anything. We already have the ability. Big business needs to stop caring about the bottom line and care about the environment. That's what's going to change. As an example, we can get all of our phones and electronics. We can get them. We can get them made carbon neutrally. We can. The carbon emissions that affect climate change can be neutral to make an iPhone or our laptops or our switches, but they're not because it's not cost effective. It's not that we don't have the ability to fix the problem. It's that big business doesn't care about the problem. They care about money, 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 money. So like, it's not even a science thing. Like they've already fixed it, but it would have to be the government's mandating it and requiring it and actually punishing people for non-compliance and shutting down companies for non-compliance for that to happen. And the biggest thing, obviously, right now would be cars and trying to get all the old cars off of the roads, replaced with new cars. And again, that would take government intervention where governments are basically willing to hand you a new, like you come trade in your old car and they'll give you a new one that's better, that is carbon neutral and doesn't rely on fossil fuels. Like, again, all the technology, all the science is already done for this stuff. They just money, 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 money. Money makes the world go round. Big business and governments don't care as much as they might pretend. They could cure. I mean that happens with big pharma, a lot. What was like? What was there? There was a bill shot down. They were going to limit the max price for insulin to $35 a shot, and that bill got shot down because some insulin can cost as much as $500. And that's like a life saving measure that honestly doesn't get used that often. For allergic reactions and stuff. It's not something that someone who has allergies and stuff like that are like, oh my god, I gotta pop a shot a day. Like, no, they knock on wood, they never need to use it. But sometimes, once a year, once every few years, you might need to hit some insulin for your diabetes or hit some stuff to help with your allergies. And like, there's no money to be made by making it cheap. So, and by the way, this isn't saying that cures don't exist. It's just like when people say, cancer, there's actual cancer cure research being done. But is it as well funded as taking oxycodone and just making a new version of oxycodone that does the same thing as the old version but throws some Tylenol in or something? Even though they already do that, but it'll be a different type of synthetic Tylenol. And there'll be like billions of dollars invested in making that pill. Whereas the cancer research to try to find cures will only have like $100 million grant. Billions for a pill that we already have that you're going to charge more for. versus $100 million to actually fix a real problem. That's just the way big pharma is. Sucks. Really sucks. And just wait like 5 years from now, COVID's going to turn into this massive public profitable thing, and there's going to be a lot of outrage. Because right now, COVID shots are free. But that's because these companies making the shots, they're not making it for free. Governments are paying them money. These COVID vaccines, the companies providing them aren't giving them out of the kindness of their heart. We're getting them because they're making billions of dollars off of governments. Governments are paying them billions. So they're making their money. They're just not making it from us directly. So yeah, it sounds like, oh yeah, but COVID. Yeah, they were incentivized by governments giving them billions of dollars. Like, it's not, they didn't do it out of the kindness of their hearts, you know? And by the way, I want to be careful. We shouldn't blame all the researchers. Okay? Sometimes some unfair judgment falls down on the researchers themselves, falls down on the scientists themselves. It's not always their fault. Scientific research is expensive. And reality is, without government grants, without money, cash flow, it's really hard to do some of this research. But unfortunately, a lot of these researchers are working under the guise of other companies, and the companies are all about billions and billions and billions. The researcher that, like the research team that created, say, like the Pfizer vaccine or whatever, do you think that research team was paid billions of dollars? No, the company they work for was paid billions of dollars. Those researchers were making the same money now as they were making before the pandemic. They didn't see a benefit from making the vaccine. They make it because that's what their job requires them to do, and maybe they do believe in wanting to help people. So, like, I don't believe in punishing or thinking ill of the people doing the work. It's the companies above them that are the problem. But that's what happens when the whole world's ran by money. My anti-rejection meds I couldn't get without insurance is $100. Insane, isn't it? I mean, and the thing is, if it really cost $100,000 to make those anti-rejection, let's say your dose of anti-rejection meds legitimately costs $100,000 to make, or close to it. Say $95,000 with a $5,000 profit. Okay, like, that sucks, but understandable on the cost. But then you'll do research on those meds, and you'll probably find out, oh yeah, it only took them like $100 to make it. They're charging $100,000 per dose, or maybe it's per month. I'm not sure on what meds you get. It's like, what? How is that even legally allowed to be upcharged that much for medication? What it is, you'll go and you'll get like, I'll use the example of Vicodin, because I've had Vicodin several times in my life, or oxycodone due to my knees. And like, if you don't have insurance, it's like, okay, yeah, it doesn't sound expensive. You'll get like a dozen pills for $80 or whatever, right? Not stupidly expensive. But then you find out each one of those pills only took 3 cents to make. So it was less than 50 cents to make those pills. Look at that profit margin. Jesus Christ. Like, that's insane. And that's on something that's cheaper for most people. Because it's not a life-saving drug, it's a pain management drug. The life-saving drugs, Christ God, like, God, knock on wood that I never have such a serious medical condition that I need life-saving medication. Because they're just going to give it to me, by the way. Like, when I'm at a hospital, they're going to see I have insurance. Even if it doesn't cover it, but it would save my life, they're just going to give it to me because I don't have the debt. So they're going to be like, okay, he's good for it. And then I'm going to get the damn bill, and it's going to be $300,000. And I'm going to look at Yulia, and I'm going to go, what the fuck? Yeah, you can do payment plans and pay $50 a month for the rest of your life and still never pay. Like, it's frustrating. Yeah. Sylvester, researchers are like developers. That's a good way to put it. Can't blame the researcher. In fact, they maybe even got into the field because they want to help people. Like, they're just doing their job. But man, it sucks when you think about the whole world. I mean, the truth in the video game, it's the truth in every industry. It's all ran by money. But Like YouTube. Why is YouTube getting rid of the dislike button? There's probably a monetary incentive behind that choice that they're not going to talk about publicly. Of course, you know what's funny about that? One of the co-founders of YouTube spoke up about this, and he was very boldly stating that getting rid of the dislike button might be the death of it. A pretty bold statement because there's no other alternative video platform that's even remotely close to as big as YouTube. But I mean, I guess we're about to find out, is YouTube too big to fail? Or will this fundamental change, where you can no longer rate user content, destroy the website as other ones pop up that allow user ratings? Because the functionality of YouTube as a platform to go to for guides is going to be gone. You'll be able to trust guides more than other platforms. The only thing that YouTube has going for it is that the bias of Google.com. The Google search results will put YouTube videos at the top. So there's a bias for that. But I mean, people are already starting to migrate to like DuckDuckGo, Bing. You know, what happens if the migration gets bigger and bigger because they don't want to see YouTube results at the top? And they start to like, we want BitChute, we want Daily Motion, or whatever alternative. There's a bunch of them, but you know, whatever one crops up that maybe isn't even made yet. Maybe the original creators of YouTube, because of this change, come out with a new platform. I mean, that to me would be a real threat. The original creators of YouTube, assuming that they are allowed to, I don't know what sort of agreements they signed when they sold the company, because maybe they can't. But if they didn't sign any agreement or they didn't and expired, it'd be interesting if the original founders said, you know what, this is not why we made this platform. Let's run it back and do it again. We'll see. And you used her last $80 once and without eating just to get her med. Yeah, dude, it sucks, man. Now, I'm on an insurance plan where most things are covered, so I'm fortunate. But that's mostly due to my kids. If I didn't have the kids, I wouldn't have this insurance plan wouldn't even be available to me. So let's just say they're a lot nicer when you have children at certain young ages. But as soon as they're all teenagers, forget about it. I don't know how we're going to afford anything. I'll migrate wherever you go now. Well, I have a Twitch channel. I just don't really use it, but I have one. But yeah, there's alternatives to YouTube, just nothing that's super viable. There's not really much of an audience at those places, let alone money to be made. Like you think about, okay, what's going to change? Well, big YouTubers would have to go over there. Well, big YouTubers aren't going to go there if they lose all their revenue. You know, like, is Philip DeFranco going to leave YouTube entirely when the majority of his money is made on YouTube? It's like, I mean, sponsors might still follow you. It's tough, you know, because YouTube used to not be about the money, but now that it is, it's like, okay, you know, do I realistically leave YouTube and leave $10,000 to $20,000 a year behind to go to some new platform where there's hardly any audience and most of my YouTube audience won't follow me over, and it feels like you're just starting all over again, you know? Would you do that? I don't know. I mean, maybe if you're completely fan funded on Patreon or something, maybe, because then maybe you're not reliant on like Jimquisition. Jim Sterling doesn't make any money on YouTube. It's all through Patreon. So like maybe for someone like him, it'd be easier to move to a different platform. Yeah, it'd have to be step by step. It'd have to be like mirroring your content. You know, it's kind of like the podcast. We're moving it to a new channel. We're not just like up and putting like we're uploading new episodes or old episodes. We'll eventually get the newer episodes there. We're still hosting it here. And then eventually, when it gets to the right point and we have all the functionality we need on that channel, we'll fully migrate the whole podcast there. So it's kind of like that. You know, it has to be a gradual, you know, you don't just jump ship. I jump ship with Streamlabs, but Streamlabs isn't really a revenue source. So it's a lot easier to be like, oh yeah, I'm done with them. I'm still streaming right here on YouTube. That didn't change. I'm just using different software and different add-ons, all that. Do you think Nintendo will ever come out with football like NCAA or pro? No, I don't think so. Oh, there's no dedicated spots for it. Damn, how's that? I was hoping that there was. Oh well. At least they're pretty easy to take apart. If I remember, I took the one that we gave away apart once, and it wasn't too bad to take apart. But that sucks. Oh well. So much for that video idea. How are you liking the new stream setup? It's a mess right now. Everything's just shoved over here. There's some additional functionality. I need to basically get some stream layouts made. And one thing I need to figure out is member goals. So right now, I have not found an alternative to member goals. Streamlabs has the ability to do a member goal, and I have not found an alternative to it yet. I got to start asking around. There has to be an alternative to it somewhere. Otherwise, I get some additional functionality. Nothing's really fully set up. I have to spend like a week getting layouts made, sifting through everything, watching a lot of tutorials, and really diving into what I can do here, because there is so much additional functionality that I have now. But it's a question of experience, because Streamlabs, the one thing Streamlabs OBS does is for very basic setups, like which is what I basically have. It's very intuitive, easy to use, and everything's included. That's not the case with OBS Studio. It's all add-ons. And you can use Streamlabs with OBS. I'm just not. I don't want to. I don't even want to put up, just use them for the member goal. No, I don't even want to do that. I don't want to use any other tools. Stream Elements provides a lot of the same tools. But like even this chat over here, like, we have this black chat here. Like I wanna do more editing to that and make it look fancier. And like I've seen people do some really crazy things with OBS Studio. It's just I don't have the experience. So it's gonna be an evolving experience as we go. I mean, I got something like this. We got this for the podcast. This for the podcast, which is just not even really fully set up. Kind of a jumbled mess at the moment, but I'll eventually get it more organized and custom built, and it's just going to take some time. When you're switching from something that you've been using for years to like, okay, now we need to build around something else. Yeah, the transitions are fine. These aren't like, this is the move transition. Here, watch this transition. Isn't that cool? Look at that. Isn't that cool? Like that move, this is a move transition add-on that's really cool. I'm not so sure that I want to use the move transition all the time. But yeah, I like the move transition. That's an add-on. I'll probably go with some stinger transitions and get something custom made, but for right now, this is what I'm rocking. But I mean, it works. It's a nice transition. Again, this didn't come with OBS Studio. I added this on. I saw it in a tutorial video. So again, it's more of a jumble, just shove everything on screen right now. But we're gonna get this looking a lot nicer soon. Hopefully by Christmas, I have this looking a lot nicer. I'm hoping that I have it looking a lot nicer by Prime Giving next Saturday or next Sunday. Next week Sunday, on the 28th, we have the Prime Giving event. I really want that event to look semi-professional. So I'm really hoping that I have some better stuff going by then. But we'll see. It all costs money to get a professional artist in here to do some things. It all costs a lot of time, a lot of tutorial watching. But any tips on starting a gaming channel? Do something you're passionate about and be consistent. It can be edited like shit. It can not even be direct capture. Like Sab Vasquez does like live streams playing Mario Kart 8 with his fans, and like it's just his phone pointed at the TV. Works. Not the greatest setup ever, but hey, works. You don't have to have I have a bunch of equipment. You don't have to have any of this crap. I didn't have any of this crap 4 years ago. To imagine the setup I have now is insane. If I go back 4 years ago and I tell myself, this is what you're going to have, this is what you're going to be able to do, I'm going to just call you a liar. I was rocking 1080p, really shitty webcam from the 90s. I'd use my phone sometimes that, I have an iPhone, but it doesn't always transfer right. And it's just, it was a pain. But we were able to, that was the start of the channel, man. Started with nothing. And look where we are now. I got a practical set. SpongeBob chilling in the background. Got these phone panels. Got a TV back here. Laptop here. Merch. Look how far we've come. A lav mic, which is just chilling here because technically technically this thing's broken. Spins, it's not supposed to spin. And the thing is, we can't find any new lapel clips that fit these lav mics. We're having a problem right now finding them because we broke them. But we'll find them somewhere. I don't have to buy a new mic just to get the clips, so we'll find them somewhere. That, or we'll just give up on using clips, and what you can use is some tape. Put it on an undershirt and just tape it to the undershirt. That's an option too. So then you don't use the clips. Some people don't even use clips with lav mics anyways. But anyway. Let's go, Nate. What's up? Live action Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, I saw that today. I saw an ad for it when I loaded Netflix today. Use black hot glue to attach it. You can use so you can one thing we had considered is that we have clips for let me grab it right here. So this is our old, I don't know why it's on the ground right now, but this is our old lav mic. These things are fine. But these new ones are bigger, nicer, fuller sound. And these clips, I've got a billion of these clips. I have like 50 of the clips that go on here. But these clips don't fit on here. So one thing I had thought about doing is that on the clips that broke, I'll just snap off the plastic entirely because I don't know why they're always plastic. Why can't they be metal? Anyways. And then I could still take the mic and use hot glue and just glue it to the clip, and then the clip is still useful. But this mic has been getting used during our podcast because this is the only microphone that still has a clip even attached to it, even though it spins. Like, this is the only one that still has a clip attached to our new mic. We have 3 of these microphones. 2 of them don't have clips anymore that work. And this clip spins. So we're really getting down there where it's like, God, man, we can't find the right size clip. So we'll figure it out eventually. I need to sit down for like an hour and do some research. And I'm sure somewhere online somebody's brought this up in like a Quora question thing or something. And someone has found where you could buy a bunch of them for really cheap. But we'll see. Because eventually this one's going to snap off and then it's going to be like, oh. I'll probably just tape it at that point. But, to apply tape every time I need to sit down, it sucks. Then again, right now, our audio equipment's held together with Gorilla Tape, so. Fun story about that someday. But hey, what works. The ones on the mic now that you're wearing, hot glue that. Yeah, I mean, there's ways I could stop this from spinning. But it doesn't matter. The clip itself is eventually going to break. Because it broke on the other 2 mics. Like, this one spins, but the clip part still works. The other ones, the clips broke. They're plastic. They just broke. We don't even know how they happened. They just broke. I don't know if they got caught in our clothes or what, but they just broke. So, like, yeah, I could stop this one, but what about the other 2? We right now, this is the only one that even has a clip that isn't broken. So, yeah. We just need to be able to find a source for the proper clips for these mics. Because I would hate to have to go online and buy another set of lav mics. I know I want to upgrade to the $650 Sennheiser wireless system eventually. But I don't want to think about that right now. Because we need 2 of them. It's going to cost us $1,200, $1,300. And I don't want to think about that. That's a lot of money. I mean, maybe by E3 next year. I don't know. That's just not something I want to spend right now. A black zip tie. We can find ways to jerry rig it. We just don't want to. We spent so much money on all this shit. The idea of spending all the money, like these microphones, this lav mic here that I'm using, this is like $150. Like, we spend so much money on our equipment, having the jerry rig shit. Like, the fact that I'm holding together audio equipment with Gorilla Tape just pisses me off, You spend so much money on this shit and then you end up hodgepodging to make it work. But what are you going to do? That's just the way it is. When you got limited budget, you got to work with what you got. So. Tried to fall asleep because I have to get up early tomorrow, but alas, I'm back. That's all right. All right, well, we're going to call that a stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun. I just got some stuff I got to do before bed. Thank you guys. Thanks for all the super chats tonight. We had let's see if they're all up. We had Amore with the $5, Vanetta 712 with the 10. We had Taker 610 with the 10, Taker 610 with the 2. B Leaf, Sylvester, and Santiago as new members tonight. Thank you for that. You guys are awesome. Have a lovely evening, everybody. I don't know if I'm gonna have any videos over the weekend. I know I have had videos lately, but we'll see. Catch you guys later. Peace. Nate, get this mic off without breaking it. I know we're still live.